Hello. Hello. How we doing? How we doing? I hope that we're doing well. It's good to see all of you. Hello, Kingwin7. Welcome. So what's your favorite conspiracy theory? Or what's your conspiracy theory? I have quite a few conspiracy theories. I don't know. Uh-huh. QB investigates. Welcome. I'm so glad that you're finding the psych stats lectures useful. I hope that they continue to be useful. Oh, hey, Ilgaz, how you doing? And hi-fi. Hylan. I respond to Hylan with hi-fi, right? I did consider doing Hylan, it's Mylan, but I was like, that feels a bit too like Iris from Hollow Life. I don't think that I can do that. That feels weird. I know, I'm sorry. I have too many conspiracy theories in my head. It's fine. It's fine. Whether I believe them or not is something else entirely. Welcome to stream. It's been a while. Hey, Astral, how you doing? I've been ensuring an uptick in conspiracies by conspiring. But have you been ensuring an uptick in conspiracy theories, Astral? See, these are the distinctions that we need to make. Are you making more conspiracies, or are you making more conspiracy theories, or are you attempting to do both? Because if you're too good at the conspiracy, then people won't even suspect, and they might not create a conspiracy theory. It's got to be very careful. They're amazing. Thank you. 4 credit stats class accelerated in 8 weeks. Oh, that is way too short for a stats class. Like, we do summer classes sometimes where it's only 8 weeks for a stats class, and that's not enough time. So I'm really glad it's useful. We should consider prospiracies, not just the conspiracies. Oh no. Oh no. Oh dear, oh dear. Oh man, it's been a while though. I haven't done a paper reading stream in a while. It has been a minute, so I am rather excited to do this one, and we're coming back strong. Oh, by the way, we're doing something new. I'm no longer reading it on the website. I am currently reading it in Zotero now, so I can take notes as I go, which I'm very excited about because I was not taking notes before, and I have the memory of worse than a goldfish. So I'm very excited to be able to take notes. I'm also very excited because I've been falling behind on. So for those of you who are new or just generally don't know or somehow missed this bit of information, hi. I'm Mylan. I am a social psychologist. I have my PhD in social psychology, and my specialization in social psychology specifically is why people believe in conspiracy theories and things related to that. And I was current on basically everything that had been published through 2019 or so, like about halfway through 2019. So everything up until that point, I'd read almost every single thing published on it in the academic sphere up till that point. And then after 2019, my reading fell off catastrophically, and I'm now way behind on the literature. But I figured that this would be a good excuse to catch up. Just like, so I'm doing my weekly now, from now on, almost every week for the rest of this semester. I'm planning on streaming paper reading on Thursdays, and it's probably almost exclusively going to be conspiracy theory stuff unless something else interesting pops up, because this is the stuff that I gotta catch up on. This stuff, I'm so behind. Hey Harry, how you doing? Welcome. Happy to have you. But yeah, this is my area, and what makes me extra excited, closer to a decade behind than current Astral, don't put it that way. Oh my god, I didn't realize how long ago 2019 was until just now. I'm really behind. Ouch. Like, it used to be you'd get like a decent, like the amount of research used to be manageable. Hey, hello CDM, how you doing? But like, it was manageable for most of while I was doing my PhD, because it was honestly, conspiracy theories were really like super, they weren't really studied all that much for a long time. Like, they almost nobody was studying belief in conspiracy theories before 2010, 2011. Around 2011, it started to ramp up. 2016 is only when it really started to catch on. And then, of course, the amount of research exploded during the pandemic. And like, at that point, I was working on my dissertation. I was more focused on my own original research. And like, I just kind of I kind of I kind of fell off, and then I started my teaching job, and then I really fell off, and like I was just overwhelmed by how much was being published, because for like a long time, like it was only maybe one article, like maybe 2 to 3 articles a month were being published, and I had already caught up on all the past literature, so it was easier to, yeah. Yeah, so I fell really behind, and then I kind of got discouraged, but now we're going to do this together every Thursday for, well, most Thursdays for the next rest of the semester. I'm going to sit here with all of you, and we're going to read conspiracy papers. Doing fine. How about yourself? I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. Hanging in there. Glad to hear you're doing well. That's a whole half-life of knowledge, Astral. You're killing me here. Hey, Dwamerthrax. Sorry, I know I can't words today. I wonder why there's been an uptick in 2016. It was more like 2016 and then 2020, but I do think that you could probably intuit some of the reasons why upticks happen during those time points, especially the 2021. 2021 is when it really got big. Oh, the Reign of Raining, welcome, welcome. Long time no see. Yeah, I'm glad to be back. I hope that you're doing well. It's good to see you. Happy to have you. And I'm really excited for this paper, by the way, everybody, because okay, so like I joke all the time on Sai's streams. Sai, she's another psychology streamer. She mostly streams on Twitch. Highly recommend her stuff. She's super awesome. She's a psychologist too. When on Sci streams, I talk a lot about how Karen Douglas is my science Oshi. She's one of the researchers in this area that I respect a lot. But I don't just have one science Oshi in that regard. Joe Uscinski, he's not a psychologist. He's not a psychologist. You'll notice he's in the Department of Political Science. So he's not a psychologist. He's a political scientist, but he is one of my favorite conspiracy theory researchers. So I'm very excited to be reading a paper where he's the first author. I'm also a big fan, well, I guess he's sharing first authorship with Enders and Klofstad. I'm also a big fan of Enders' work. I've only read 1 or 2 of Enders' papers, but I really, really liked what he was doing with it. I just saw the weirdest conspiracy theory, which is actually hard to dispel because it requires some decent knowledge of physics. Honestly, I think a lot of conspiracy theories are hard to dispel. It's just harder to detect the ones that require specialized knowledge, because like you need specialized knowledge to tell it's a little out there, right? But yeah, super excited about this because 2 researchers whose work I already know I'm a big fan of are 2 of the 3 sort of first author positions. I say they're 3 first author positions because you can see this yin-yang symbol is indicating that these authors contributed equally to the work, and so the first 3 authors all have that symbol, so I think they're kind of like sharing first authorship. Did they make testable claims? Yeah, they make testable claims. This is an empirical paper. This is an empirical... Oh, you're talking about the physics thing. That I don't know. That I do not know. I'm sorry, I'm really excited to read this. And then we've also got a couple of other people. I haven't heard of Seelig, Drochon, Premaratne, and Murthi, probably because I'm really behind. Apparently the star name's derived from ears, so his ancestors like 50 gens back probably had weird enough ears that it stuck. Oh no! He's great though. I've talked to Joseph Uscinski. He's a really cool guy. I haven't talked to Adam Enders, though I would very much like to one day. Anyway, I really want to get started reading the paper. I don't want to delay because I'm excited to read this paper because one of my favorite papers in the conspiracy area, I guess it's not really a paper, it's a book chapter. It's in Joe Uscinski's book from 2014. It was originally a conference paper in 2011, and then he published it as a book chapter in a book between him, so Joe Uscinski, and then his co-author, I forget the first name, Parent. They published a book in 2014 called American Conspiracies, or American Conspiracy Theories, I think. And one of the chapters is called Conspiracy Theories Are for Losers. And what it was doing, and I cite this a lot, is that it was looking at how the prevalence of conspiracy theories changed over a 200-year period in America, specifically looking at voter fraud conspiracy theories. And he didn't actually find that there was really any point where conspiracy theories were particularly common or uncommon. It seemed pretty stable. There were like a few points where they were slightly more common than usual, but for that 200-year period that he looked at, he did not really find anything particularly volatile, I guess, in terms of that. So I'm really, really excited to see this because now he's doing this in 2022, and I wonder if he got different results. Because, you know, it always feels like there's more conspiracy theories floating around than there ever has been, and it feels like we've increased conspiracy theories, but it felt like that back when I was reading that paper that he first published in 2011, you know? And like that was actually wrong. My intuition was wrong and was not supported by his data. So I'm very interested to see if I'm still wrong and if it still hasn't increased, or if it really has increased like it feels it has. It also doesn't really need to be what is happening? Oh my gosh. Sorry, I got distracted by chat. But yeah, I'm very, very excited to see what's going on in this paper. And I will be taking notes, by the way. I hope that's okay. I hope that's okay. Because I am reading this also for, like, if I want to get back into the research. I feel like it's increased, but now I'm excited to get to the data, right? I kind of want to get to the data. I almost, like, want to skip the abstract because I don't want to be spoiled, but I think we're going to read the abstract anyway. I'm treating this like a fictional story. No spoilers! No, we're going to read the abstract just to see what we're getting ourselves into. All right. Let's see. Oh, I should see if I can zoom in a bit for y'all so that you can see this a bit better. I did make sure to check the copyright. I am allowed to do this on stream, so. I am a very diligent little cryptid. There we go. All right. The public is convinced that belief in conspiracy theories are increasing. Like I said, it feels like they are increasing, doesn't it? And many scholars, journalists, and policymakers agree. Right, yeah. So a lot of people have been saying this, but we want to know if this is supported by the data. Because, like, honestly, it feels that way, but I know, again, from experience, I know that the last time I felt that way, it wasn't supported by the data. So very excited to find out. I'm getting way too pumped about this. I'm so excited. Given the associations between conspiracy theories and non-normative tendencies, lawmakers have called for policies to increase. So non-normative tendencies, these typically we talk about conspiracy theories in a political realm. That's what most of the conspiracy theories that are studied. And of course, Joe Uscinski is a political scientist. And it looks like Dr. Enders is also in a political science department. Klofstad looks like they're in a different type of discipline, but belief in conspiracy theories does tend to be associated with non-normative ways of engaging in politics. So, like, rather than voting or contacting your representative, it's more associated with, like, like threats of violence and stuff like that, and like non-normative ways of engaging in politics that go outside of the typical political system. So that's probably what they're referring to. And lawmakers have called for policies to address these increases. So people think there's an increase, and lawmakers think that we should do something about this because belief in conspiracy theories does motivate some behavior that does not operate within our current system. Or is the increased perception of conspiracy theories a conspiracy? That's a great question, because I think it could be, like, maybe. I don't want to encourage conspiracy belief because, you know, these non-normative tendencies are real, though it's kind of unclear. The causal direction of that isn't super clear. It could be that people who already distrust the government are more likely to believe conspiracy theories, and that distrust is causing both belief in conspiracy theories and refusal to engage with the system. It could be that belief in conspiracy theories causes you to distrust the government and therefore makes you less likely to engage in the system in normative ways. It could be engaging with the system in non-normative ways makes you want to justify that behavior and therefore to reduce cognitive dissonance. Like, we don't know the causal direction of this, but I'm like both off and on track. I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. I don't want to encourage belief in conspiracy theories either way, but I mean, a lot of my privacy concerns will be getting more and more validated. Yeah. Everybody be very careful with your private information, okay? Like, be careful. Be careful. Be careful. And that's not like me being a conspiracy theorist. That's just me as, you gotta be careful. It's just a human being thing. Not that I'm a human, I'm a cryptid, but like, you just be careful about your personal information. Anyway, little evidence has been provided to demonstrate that beliefs in conspiracy theories have, in fact, increased over time. So they're saying everybody's saying this is what's happening, but we don't actually have data. to show if that's what's actually happening. And I'm betting Uscinski in particular is like, and in fact, we have data from the past showing that this wasn't happening. It's possible that it's changed, but like the data that we had at the time this paper was published was not consistent with what all these people were saying. I mean, a lot of my, wait, no, I already go super hardcore on my privacy stuff because of my online presence. Good. Very good. I'm glad to hear it. We address this evidentiary gap. So they are saying we actually want to check if this assumption is the case. Study 1 investigates. Whoa! Oh, whoa! What? Sorry, I'm new. I haven't used Zotero much, so I'm not used to this yet. The change in proportion. Blue Sky locked accounts when? I know, right, Maury? Hey, Maury, happy to have you here. But yeah, I want Blue Sky to implement locked accounts. Preferably like 2 years ago, but I'll accept today as well. Anyway. Hey, Arctelos, welcome. Happy to have you here. Today we're reading a paper on whether belief in conspiracy theories has increased over the past while or if it's stayed constant. Past literature, the last study I think was done in 2011 showed that it stayed pretty constant over a 200-year period. The question here is it still staying constant or has it actually started increasing? So study 1 investigates the change in the proportions of Americans believing 46 conspiracy theories. Oh, hey, Comey, how you doing? Okay, so this is big, right? Because, like, I think it's staying constant, but you can see it more. That's possible. Yeah, I'm really curious. I'm very... Oh, I just accidentally skipped the last sentence of the abstract while reading this, and I spoiled myself for the paper. But I guess it's a scientific paper. Oh, well. I guess spoilers are not a thing. But okay, the reason that I think it's a big deal that they're using 46 conspiracy theories here is that we have a decent amount of evidence that the vast majority of people believe at least one conspiracy theory. And my personal belief is that everybody believes at least one or two conspiracy theories. Every single living sentient person who interacts in society believes at least one conspiracy theory is my personal thought. And I think I actually heard Sai say this the other day as well, which was so validating. But the thing is, most studies don't actually find that all of their samples endorsing at least one conspiracy theory, but that's because usually they only have a limited list of theories, like 6 theories or 10 theories or 14 theories. So like, it's just a matter of if everybody believes at least one theory, they don't necessarily believe at least one theory out of that list of like 5 or 10 that you picked. But with 46 conspiracy theories, that's probably pretty good coverage. I trust these authors to have picked a pretty good variety. I'm very excited. I can't even name that much, right? I'm very excited. I hope that they list the theories in like a table or somewhere. How deep in the rabbit hole are they? Well, I don't know too much about these other people. Enders, the first big Enders paper I encountered in the conspiracy theory space was from 2019. But Uscinski has been doing research in conspiracy theories for at least 15 years now. Minimum 15 years. So he's been deep in this for a long time. So I'm sure that he knows a lot of theories. I also want the table of theories. Should we scroll ahead to see if they have a table of theories? It might also be in supplemental material. We'll see. But let's see if well, there's a graph. We do love graphs. It looks like here's an example of some theories, specifically COVID-19 theories. Here's another set, QAnon theories. So, oh, and then 37 additional theories. Okay, they do give us a table. I can't even name more than a handful, just the really popular ones. Yeah, that's understandable. That's probably healthier, frankly. Okay. So first they did this in America. In some instances span half a century. I love, because Uscinski's last paper on this did a 200-year period, and I was kind of thinking this would be more like cross-sectional, like from a short time period, but I love that he's just going out there and going I wonder if they use the same method. Last time it was looking at letters to the editor. Letters to the editor, I figure, are a more biased population these days because not a lot of people even read newspapers anymore. So I'm very curious about the sampling procedure and very excited to find out. Study 2 examines the change in proportion in individuals across 6 European countries believing 6 conspiracy theories. So the sample in America had a much broader range of theories. The European sample is 6 different countries, which is awesome. That means that we're not just looking at one country and one culture. We're looking at other places, though these still probably are weird cultures. For reference, weird is an acronym in research, is in social sciences. A lot of research in social science is done on what we call weird populations. Weird standing for Western, educated, industrialized, rich, and democratic societies. That's what weird means. And the vast majority of research is done on these Western, educated, industrialized, rich, and democratic societies. And that's not actually the majority of the world population. So it's kind of like it's not ideal. It's not necessarily, we couldn't generalize this to the whole world because this is still a biased sample. Now we're the weird ones. It's true. It's true. But like, it may not be like a very like super diverse sample in terms of this, but most studies only look at one country, so I'm very happy. This has 7 different countries across 2 studies, which I'm very delighted about. You love to see it. This means we have more generalizability in the results here. This doesn't just apply in, say, just America. We'll see if the results are the same across all these countries, but they have data for 7 different countries in here, so it's not just it's just one country thing. Conspiracy, someone really wanted that acronym. Probably so. You gotta admit, it's pretty good. It's a very nice like, I don't know how to put it. It's a very nice acronym. It works very well. It's a pretty good. I do love fun acronyms too. I love the amount of data they collected in this study. I know, me too. I'm so excited. Oh man, I forgot how much fun I have reading articles in my area, because I don't know, have I read a conspiracy theory article on this channel? Because the vast majority of psychology that I've read is like in this area, but I don't think I've really done it on this channel. Either way, I'm giddy. I'm very excited about all of this, and I think that's actually slowing me down, ironically, because I have to stop every few minutes and just like, kick my feet like, oh, I missed this. Oh, why have I been like not doing this for the past 6 years? Why haven't I been keeping up? I'm so mad at myself. Oh, oops, the crop is a little bad. There we go. Oh, and they have study 3 traces belief about which groups are conspiring against us. Oh, that's cool. So they're looking at who people are saying are conspiring. I love that. I particularly like the intergroup aspect of conspiracy theories. That's what I find particularly interesting about conspiracy theories, is the intergroup dynamics. So I'm very happy they're looking at that. Oh, I love this paper already. So you can literally be statistically weird. Yeah, or at least you can belong to a society that would be considered weird. Yeah. What does the I stand for again? Industrialized. It stands for industrialized. All right. Study 4 tracks generalized conspiracy thinking in the US from 2012 to 2021. So, oh, that's right. I should have mentioned this paper was published in 2022. So this isn't like crazy recent. This paper is 4 years old now. So it is kind of older. Like I said, I've got a lot of catching up to do. It was received in February of 2022. It looks like the theories they were looking at and the data they have goes up until 2021. So there is still like that 4-year period in there between then and now. Well, guess I'm a normie then. I mean, we want more data from societies that aren't weird. We need more data from societies that aren't weird. The vast majority of our understanding of human psychology is specifically weird human psychology. And that's not good. We want to understand people at large, right? We don't just want to understand weird people. We want to understand people at large. There's been a lot of efforts and things like that to start making it easier for researchers to collect data from non-weird populations, but it's hard. I know that you're just joking. See, this is what I do. You make a joke, but also the joke has a good point buried in it, and therefore I take it seriously because I want to like elaborate on that point, even though I know that you were just joking around. It is hard to get that data, QB Investigates. That's so true. And people are trying to make that easier. There's been a couple startups over the past like 5 to 10 years or so that Specifically, their whole thing is they help you recruit non-weird samples. Like that's the whole thing that they do. But it is hard because most researchers are doing research specifically in weird societies, which means that they're more familiar with the culture of those societies, and also it's a hell of a lot easier to get access to samples from those societies, especially in indigenous peoples. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then there's some populations where they just don't trust researchers for very, very justifiable reasons, which means that they are underserved by science because they don't trust the scientists, and they have good reasons not to trust the scientists. Like based on historical things. So technically none of South America, Africa, and Asia count as weird. I don't know, maybe. Like, I don't know. I don't know if it's specifically Western or Westernized. It's kind of weird. I do think there might be some places in those areas that would generally. Z, hi Z, how you doing? How you doing? Thank you for dropping in. No pressure to stay. This is a cool paper though, Z. I'm excited. Hope the stream is doing well. I'm hyped you're doing these. Let's read. Me too. The stream is going well so far. I'm just. I'm getting so excited about the paper that I keep stopping, which is the stupidest reason to be slowing down, but I'm just really I want to savor it, you know? It's like when you get a really good like dessert, you don't want to gobble it down all at once. You want to just savor it, you know? You make it last. That's how I feel about this paper. It is the best reason to be slowing down. If there's any reason to be slowing down, I think it's that. I was thinking about Western Europe and the Anglosphere as the weird standard. Yeah, I'm curious to see which European countries they got in here. They do have one researcher from the United Kingdom, and the rest of them are from America. So I'm curious to see who's from the United Kingdom. This Hugo person, this Drochon one. Yeah, the only missing part for me is the industrial part. Yeah. And it's not like you're either weird or you're not. I guess you can be more weird or less weird, right? It's like the whole thingy. There is like the sliding scale of weirdness in that regard. When I eat a very yummy sweet, I can't help myself. Oh man, do you mind if we go on a tangent for a second? I might go on a tangent for a second, especially because we're about to hit the sentence where they reveal what they found. So before we get to that, let me go on a tangent. So when I was very young, my mother told me a story about one of her first dates with my father. Apparently, they went to a very famous pie shop. And my family still loves pies from this pie shop to this day. It's like a family tradition kind of thing. And they got the best type of pie, which is French silk pie. They got French silk pie, and they each got a slice of French silk pie. And my dad loves chocolate. He is an absolute fiend for chocolate. And French silk pie, of course, has a lot of chocolate in it. So he just devoured, like, it was on his plate 1 second and it was gone the next, this slice of pie. And my mom ate hers like at a more reasonable pace because she was raised by like very proper people. My grandparents on my mother's side were like very proper people and all about manners. And my mom was just eating this pie at a very like reasonable pace, which meant that my dad was just sitting across from her, just staring mournfully between his empty plate and the pie that she still had left over. And my mother told me and my sister this story, and me and my sister have an interesting relationship, to put it mildly. But in this particular case, what happened was that we both took that to heart, and we both wanted to be the person who was eating the delicious thing while the other person was watching on in just sadness and dejection and pain. We wanted to be like, ha, I still have this left, and you have already eaten all of yours. And this has led to things where, like, it got so bad. There was a certain point where, like, every Christmas, my aunt and uncle gave me and my sister both a box of chocolate. And like, this was a chocolate that we could not get where we lived. It only was where my aunts and uncle lived. They don't sell it where where my immediate family lived at that point. So we only got this type of chocolate once a year, and we love this chocolate. And of course, we remembered this story our mother had told us. So what did we do? We made that chocolate last as long as we could. I think my record was I made my box of chocolate last a full 6 months. I lured my sister into this false sense of complacency. I hid my chocolate in the very back of the freezer behind a whole bunch of stuff, and I tricked her into thinking I had finished my chocolate. And so she finished hers in 4 months. And then 6 months later, in like June, July, I pull out the box from the back of the freezer and making eye contact with her, I eat the last piece of chocolate I and that's my story. I did win. I will never win as big as that ever again. I saw that your group named Vithrium and immediately subbed to everyone there. Hey, Credo, welcome. Thank you so much for subbing. We are happy to have you. Absolutely delighted to have you. It's a wonderful group. Oh, yes, yes. Let's see, what do we have? We have 5. For those of you unfamiliar, I am a part of a group called Vithrium. Vithrium is a group of educational VTubers. We do STEM topics. Hey, Matt, welcome, welcome. Thank you for reading my pub last time. It was such a good paper. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for making it so that we could read it, for publishing it in a place where the copyrighted allowed it. Thank you, thank you. It was a cool paper. I love you doing that work. It's so cool. I hope that you keep doing it. Yeah, Vtherium, though, we are a group of educational VTubers. We have Phi the Neutrophil, who does molecular biology stuff. We have Nepenthes VT, or Nep, who does, like, horticulture and things like that, plantsy stuff. Saidere is a psychology VTuber. She primarily streams on Twitch. She's technically an emeritus member, but we still kind of treat her like she's a member. We have Z, of course, who's in chat, Syzygy Altair, who does physics and, like, astrophysics and space stuff. And then we have me, Mylan, who's also a psychologist. I'm a massive Zundamon theorem fan. I'm all for educational Zundamon. Oh, I haven't heard Zundamon. I'll have to check that out. But yeah. We love educational VTubers in this household. We really, really do. Anyway, I want to keep reading this paper. I'm sorry, I'm so pumped. The next sentence is where they reveal what they found in this abstract. New gen student, that's right, we recently put out an interest check for a new generation of V-Theorem. We're not doing auditions quite yet, but we're doing, what are the odds that Mylan once showed us one of their own papers and never told us? 0. I have not shown you any of my own papers. What are the odds that we read a paper in the future that cites one of my papers? Not 0. It's entirely possible that in the future we will read a paper that cites me. Also, man, I've been telling the folks you were a victim in the dessert saving game. Maury, I was never the victim. I was the aggressor. Well, like, it was a mutual aggression thing between me and my sister. A very weird, indirect type of aggression, but I was not a victim. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to shatter the narrative, but I was very much not a victim. I was part of the problem. I was perpetuating the cycle. Oh, have a good day, Z. Thank you for dropping in. Okay. Let's at least read the last line of the abstract to tell you see you soon as well. Okay. In no instance did we observe systematic evidence for an increase in conspiracism, however operational? So they had multiple ways of measuring this. They did this in 7 different countries, and they did not find any systematic evidence for an increase in belief in conspiracy theories. Okay, this means I'm putting down a note here for myself. No evidence. Multiple ways of measuring for an increase in belief in conspiracy theories. I don't, thank God. I don't know about thank God. This just feels kind of wild, right? Can I, yeah, how do I, that is not what I want. That doesn't look good. I'll figure out. I'm still working on figuring out Zotero. But that's interesting, isn't it? How interesting is that? All right, let's see how they did this. Let's start reading the paper properly. It is wild, isn't it? Because it really feels like there's been this big increase, but there hasn't been, at least according to their data, which is, again, like this data is only from 2022, but honestly, like 2022 came after COVID, which, like, you'd think if anything, like, yeah, it's wild. I think, which makes me think it's not so much that, let's read their methods to see how they came to this conclusion, right? But it does make me wonder if their methods are solid, which I do have great trust in both Uscinski and Enders. I do have a considerable, I have a amount of trust in their knowledge and research, because from what I've read in the past, like, if it feels like it has increased and it's a lot more visible than it is, it's possible that it hasn't increased. It's more out in the open than it's ever been before. Like, it's more mainstream than it's ever been, but the actual, like, baseline levels of belief are the same. Just before, people didn't talk about it, and now they're talking about it. Which I think is not a totally, like, unreasonable explanation. Perhaps the vibes people are picking up on are just general distrust and symptoms, but not necessarily outright conspiracy theories. Entirely possible. Hey, Guy, how you doing? Happy to have you here. Conspiracism doesn't increase, but I wonder if population conspiracy theories did change during this time. That's a good question. I do wonder if they're talking specifically about like general conspiracy mentality, which is a separate thing from belief in conspiracy theories. So conspiracy mentality is no, but they're talking about specific conspiracy theories because one of their operationalizations was specific conspiracy theories. But again, it's like, it's not the number of conspiracy theories that exist, it's the prevalence of belief in conspiracy theories. So it could be like, there are more conspiracy theories, however, this amount of people who believe them, or the level of belief, is the same. It's just that there's a more diverse set of beliefs, if that makes sense. I suppose more people became chronically online during the pandemic. This is true, probably. Yeah, I think they've organized and gotten a bigger voice, even though there's not actually more of them. Yeah, I wonder if that's the case. Or maybe there are more of them, and they're more mainstream, but the actual just like baseline levels of how much people believe them are the same. Hey, Water Knight, happy to have you. I'm glad you made it. It's good to have you in stream. Okay. Let's go. Emerging research program focused on conspiracy theories has produced a robust literature on causes and consequences of beliefs in those theories. Yes. We know that, like, this is a big burgeoning area. It's growing. It was very small for a while, and then it like started to like really pick up steam around 2015, 2016, and then it absolutely exploded in like 2020, 2021, and suddenly everybody was doing it. This is very much like a pretty new area of social psychology, and it's been growing at like an exponential rate for a while, which is why I'm so behind on the literature. Numerous studies find that conspiracy theory beliefs are positively associated with non-normative behaviors, including criminal acts, and negatively associated with pro-social behaviors. Pro-social behaviors are behaviors that help other people, for definition, such as vaccination. This is interesting because, like, depending on the pro-social behavior, or depending on the conspiracy theory, the types of pro-social behaviors we're talking about is different. So voter fraud conspiracy theories make people less likely to vote. Conspiracy theories about vaccinations make people less likely to vaccinate, and stuff like that. So it tends to be domain specific, is my understanding, though I'm not sure if there's actually studies that tease that apart. There probably are, actually, at this point, but typically most of the studies that I have seen so far tend to be domain specific, where the behavior, like the negative behaviors and the pro-social behavior, well, at least the pro-social behaviors tend to be specifically associated with that specific type of conspiracy theory. Oh, I'm glad. Yes, Nerd-S stream. That is exactly, you are absolutely in the right place for exactly that. As for the mass public, 73% of Americans believe that conspiracy theories are out of control. Ooh, this is a neat statistic. What's a better, do I do it like this? Oh, this is how I want to do it. Hey, Xenotime, how you doing? Happy to have you here. Absolutely delighted to have you here. This is an interesting statistic, though. I did not know this. Where did they get this polling? Oh, it's a university poll and a CBS News poll. I see. Oh, nice. I can go back and forth. That's really handy. I'm liking this. It was such a, when I published in this journal, the journal that this is published in, it was such a pain in the butt to change all my APA style citations to these numbers. But if the system works like this, that is, maybe it's worth it. Maybe it's worth it. Because I had like over 50 citations, and I had to take all 50 of those citations and like, you know, change each citation into numbers, and it was a huge pain, but this linking is super nice. Worth the effort, I guess. Not that, again, this is not my paper, but I feel like I wouldn't read it on stream if it was my paper for a wide variety of reasons. Oh, yay, I'm glad. All right. And 59% agree that people are more likely to believe conspiracy theories compared to 25 years ago. So it seems like pretty widespread belief. Oh, have a good shower. I hope that it's good. No worries. Nobody has any obligation to stay for the whole time. I'm not taking attendance. There are no participation points. You're good. Okay, so pretty widespread belief that conspiracy theories have become more common, and that seemed to be the sentiment of chat as well. Like, they're talking about, like, the general public seems to believe this, journalists seem to believe this, politicians have been talking about this, and this poll seems to show this, and chat also seems to believe this, so this seems to be a fairly common belief. Compared to 25 years ago, approximately 77% of Americans believe that social media and the internet are responsible for these increases. Hey, Torg, how are you doing? Okay, but if you are taking attendance, I've been here the whole time. Don't worry, Torg, I know. Max in Natural Sciences, only 50 citations. I'm reading a 5-page paper for a work where they have made 3 graphs and it was 77. Oh, that's pain. Okay, so again, to be fair, though I do think this is probably a discipline thing, but like, when I wrote that paper with the 50-some citations, it was like, it was at a time when research in conspiracy theories was still pretty sparse. Like, it was still a very small area, so there really wasn't that much to cite at that time. Okay, belief that social media is a cause. And I think we were also talking about in the chat, it's really fun to see, like, chat replicating the polling that they're citing here. Like, oh, look, that's a replication. It's a conceptual replication. You love to see it, just spontaneous. Many scholars agree and view conspiracy theories as indicative of modern crisis, citing new communication technologies as a primary cause. But not me, because I read that 2011 and then 2014 Uscinski chapter. Thank you, Uscinski and Parent, for letting me not fall into that trap. I appreciate you very much. Dr. Uscinski, if you ever watch this stream, I think you're cool. Anyway, where were we? Dr. Enders. Actually, I don't know if Enders has his PhD. Probably by now. Dr. Enders, if you ever watch this stream, I think you're cool. Can a Twitch or a YouTube poll be used as a citation? Yeah. Yeah, like, you can't use it as empirical evidence, but there are methods of citing chat, there are methods of citing polls, there are, like, APA style has methods for citing a whole bunch of things. I have cited YouTube videos, I've cited tweets, I've cited late night shows and movies and TV shows in papers before. You can cite all types of things, but because YouTube chat is such a it's such a biased sample. Like, everybody in chat right now, I love all of you. You're wonderful. You would not be a representative sample of the world population. You're probably you are people who seek out educational content in your free time and are interested in VTubers and are willing to watch a small streamer. Like, that's a very specific type of person. You are not representative. Many of you are probably weird. It's not actually all natural sciences that have that many citations. It's just ones where we measured X really precisely, so you have to cite everyone else who's ever met. Oh, that's painful, Xenotime. I'm totally representative. Oh, I mean, no individual person, no small group of people is ever going to be terribly representative of the overall population. That's the whole reason statistics has to happen. Can confirm am weird. Me too. It's cool. I'm literally a cryptid. Where were we? All right. Cite me as weird. Will do. If I ever cite you, I shall do so. Who knows? Sai and I have been, I don't know if we'll ever get around to it, but we've been knocking around the idea of doing research around VTubers, and, like, who knows, maybe we'll cite some of you in the future. All right. Journalists contend that we are living in a golden age of conspiracy theorizing, a post-truth era, which conspiracy theories have never spread this swiftly nor lodged this deep in the American psyche. Press X to doubt, to be honest. Like, based on all of the reading that I've done in this area, even though I am pretty out of date in this area of research and just research in general. I am out of date, but based on everything that I read up until this point, that does not sound necessarily specific with what we have known. The Cold War, right? The Cold War? The Cold War! I don't believe that, but it's very well written. Yeah, like, I think it's very easy to fall into this trap where you think this is the case. But the data does not seem to generally support this. I feel like we always feel like the modern day, the era that we are currently living in is unprecedented. And I feel like that's been the case for basically all of human history. Still waiting for that red, oh no. Okay, so, similar sentiments are frequently expressed in reporting outside the US as well. So this is not just an American thing that Americans are talking about. Other governments are talking about this. Government officials worldwide have responded with policy proposals to address, as one US congressperson put it. I like that they're talking about outside of the US, and then they specifically cite a US politician. Like, I get it. I just think it's silly. What about the Cold War? Exactly. Cold War for sure looks over... Yeah, Cold War had a lot. Oh, man. There's been many points in history, like witch trials. I think some aspects of the witch trials would count as conspiracy theories. Other aspects of the witch trials probably wouldn't. It's like it's kind of like shaky. It depends on specific what they're saying there. But I'm not going to get too into the weeds on that right now. One day, I want to do a lecture stream where I give you just a broad overview about what we know about belief in conspiracy theories. But for now, we're getting deep in the weeds. The stupendous rise in popularity and prevalence of conspiracy theories. If beliefs in conspiracy theories are increasing in the way popular intuition scholars, media narratives, and politicians suggest, there is ample reason for alarm. Yeah, I mean... Belief in conspiracy theories is associated with a variety of negative outcomes, both for the believer and for the people around the believer and for society. I don't want to say it's only negative outcomes, though. Belief in conspiracy theories can also be associated with some positive outcomes. I don't want to say, like, it's all bad. There are some positive outcomes associated as well, but, like, yeah. I feel like the evidence so far shows that we don't have ample reason for alarm. Yeah, but... The evidence, a lot of people haven't read the evidence, right? Like, this is not stuff that a lot of people read. Like, every time so the original study that I usually base my intuitions on, like, is conspiracy theory increasing, was published in a book called American Conspiracy Theories by Joe Uscinski and, I always forget Parent's first name, but Parent. So Uscinski and Parent, American Conspiracy Theories, I think is the title of the book. And they published their study in there, but, like, it's a hard book to find, you know? Like, every time I go to a bookstore, I specifically try and seek out this book, and I have never found it. There is an audiobook. I own the audiobook, but I would love a physical copy of the book, and I think I've just got to buckle down and order it online. Maybe I can ask Dr. Uscinski if I can get an autographed copy. I would love an autographed copy of it. I wonder if he'd think that was weird. I like that the evidence... Oh, yeah. No, I mean, specifically enjoy that fact. Cortisol levels reasonable. It is true. This is, like, some rare, comforting news. We do love some comforting news. All right. Well, we observed troublingly high percentages of people believing in conspiracy theories on cross-sectional polls and limitless conspiracy theory-related internet content. So, troublingly high percentages in cross-sectional polls. The highest percentage I've seen was, I think it was like 81% on a poll about people who believed conspiracy theories about JFK's assassination. The Gallup poll that was tracking that over a period of years peaked at 81% at 2 different points in history. And that's just one conspiracy theory. I think that if we had an exhausted list of every conspiracy theory ever, I think we would get probably to almost 100% of people believing at least one, if not 100%, maybe 100%. I don't know. Belief in conspiracy theories is incredibly common. Hey, Tyler, how you doing? No worries about being late. It's okay. No worries. I don't take attendance. For real, my friends have been yapping about AI being stupid, and I keep trying to lighten the mood by yapping about the Ariane 64 launch that just happened. Yeah, it's very easy to fall into like doom scrolling and stuff, but there are good things happening in the world. It's hard because like this is another really interesting psychology finding is that positive news doesn't spread as far as negative news, at least in Western spheres. Like we don't share positive information as much as negative information in Western spheres. And so we tend to miss out on positive news. And like news organizations do tend to talk way more about the negative stuff than the positive stuff in the West. So it seems like everything's horrible all the time, but there really is a lot of good stuff happening all the time. Just we don't hear about it a lot of the time, which is kind of sad. Like, I'm not saying the world is all like sunshine and roses. It certainly isn't, but there's definitely a bias in the type of information that people share. I had word blocks on my Fediverse feed to prevent topics on my feed that would drag me down. Yeah, mental health, I mean, it's good that there isn't an increase, but is the current level of belief in conspiracies acceptable, though? That's another question entirely, Lagaz. Yeah, I don't know. I think that some level of belief in conspiracy theories is healthy, because conspiracies do actually happen, but many conspiracy theories are not actually based in, like, fact or rationality, and they do have negative outcomes. I don't know if there is an optimal level of belief in conspiracy theories. I have a theory that we're all birds, but we don't know it yet. Oh, you know what? Dark Raven music? Welcome to the stream, by the way. Welcome to the stream. You have summoned me. You have, let me see. You've summoned my alternate form. I must become more bird-like. Hey, Pog Chips up, how you doing? I have the recent perceived rise of conspiracy theories underlies the return of the cynical but naive approach to factual relativism. Ooh, that's an interesting thought. The bird brain form. It's true. The bird brain form is here. It's good that good news isn't considered newsworthy. I guess so. Yeah, when you think of it that way. Oh, cousin bird. Yes, cousin bird. Yeah, the origin form, my base form. Oh, hey, Thomas Stamp Frog. Welcome. Oh, thank you, Rain, for bringing people. I hope that you're doing well. Welcome. Should we stay in this form? I kind of want to... I don't know. I feel like this is my serious business form. Let's do this for a while and see if there's any other reason to change into a different form. Okay. Single cross-sectional poles cannot speak to temporal change. So yeah, that's the main limitation with all those, like, at one time point. When we look at any given time point, it's like, what do you want? Like, like, it's just one point in time. We don't know if people are changing or how they're changing, if things are going up, if things are going down. So we need longitudinal measures that take place over time to say whether there has been a change. Like, it could be that conspiracy belief is pretty high right now, but it could be that it's historically always been pretty high, right? Like, we don't know if that actually indicates that that belief has increased. So we need to actually look at the levels of conspiracy belief over an extended period of time to make a claim based on evidence that it has actually increased, is what they're saying. Which is why I like that 2011/2014 study that Uscinski and Parent did so much. The title's Conspiracy Theories Are for Losers, by the way, if you want to look it up. Great book chapter, great conference paper. Absolutely adore it. One of my favorites of all time. I should go back and reread it. It's been a minute. All right, social media activity cannot shed light on belief. Oh, and welcome back, Astral. Sorry. Social media activity cannot shed light on beliefs prior to the proliferation of internet access. Yeah, social media didn't exist before internet access, at least not in its current form. And internet content and social media interactions bear only a vague resemblance to mass beliefs. That's true. The way that the people who are producing most of the content online is not necessarily representative of the bulk of the population, and people express different beliefs online than they might in person. And so, like, the conversation on social media is not necessarily reflective of the actual conversation happening at the population level. I love working with social media data, but at the end of the day, I can only draw conclusions about people who actually use social media and post on social media specifically. That's not necessarily, like, I'm mostly getting a view into what's going on with heavy users of social media, and specifically heavy users who post things rather than just interacting with things, right? Internet contact and social media interactions bear only we just read that. However, in fact, I'm going to highlight that because I feel like that's important. I want to be able to come back to that. However, looking to repeated opinion polls measuring conspiratorial beliefs over time, especially those taken before social media, so this is stuff like Gallup polls and stuff, does constitute one strategy for assessing change. Unfortunately, such efforts have been quite limited. That's true. There aren't a lot of polls that track this stuff over time. The Gallup poll for JFK assassination conspiracy theories is one of them. I imagine there's probably also ones about 9/11 conspiracy theories, but there really aren't a lot of these national polls that specifically keep asking year after year about belief in conspiracy theories, much less conspiracy theories in general, as opposed to a specific one or conspiracy theories about a specific incident. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. This is to the detriment of the study of conspiracism beyond questions about the veracity of people and politicians' perceptions of change over time. First, studies of conspiracism over time can shed important light on the impact of situational factors and other idiosyncrasies of belief. I am a social psychologist, which means I believe that the situation, the context that's going on, whether like it's like, are we in an election year, or are there international tensions, like are we in like a Cold War or something like that, that stuff is super important to what's going on, especially when it comes to things like conspiracy theories, because conspiracy theories are like, I'm going to editorialize a bit, but this is based on at least some data. Conspiracy theories are almost, as far as I'm concerned, inherently about some sort of intergroup conflict. They're about us versus them. And of course, there will be times in history where the tension between these two groups is higher, or times when tensions between those groups are lower. So it makes sense that the current context that you're living in will influence your belief in conspiracy theories, or at least when it comes to like the specific conspiracy theory. If we currently have like tensions with nation A, we're more likely to believe conspiracy theories about nation A. If we're not currently in conflict with nation A, we have good relations, we're going to have less belief about those theories. So like the situation can have at least a major impact on the type of conspiracy theories that are common. It's unclear if it's how many conspiracy theories are going on, but at least the type of conspiracy theories that are currently going around super depends, or at least is very influenced by the current historical context. I'm really enjoying myself, can you tell? Oh my gosh, I'm talking about the thing that I dedicated like 6 years of my life to. It's nice. I've missed this. Where am I? Like, I love teaching, but like I don't get to teach about conspiracy theories most of the time, so this is like really nice. Providing researchers with a unique world. Yeah. It's the giddy laugh. Data such as this can aid researchers in understanding the comparative dynamics of conspiracism across socio-political contexts such as types of government. That's where the whole, like, they're studying 7 countries comes in. That's more than a quarter of my life. Astral, please. Please, have mercy on an old soul. I think almost all of the guests on Size, Hags, and STEM have been younger than me, and you don't know how that makes me feel. We are old, but that's okay. It's okay to be old. Astral is baby. It's true. Astral is baby. Baby. Anyway. Baby's relative, though. Use your channel to spread conspiracy theories, then become more of a problem you can teach about them. No. No, I as a member of V-Theorem sworn to uphold the truth, or at least what we currently believe is the truth based on our best of the best scientific understanding of the world, right? So I'm not gonna spread misinformation. I get so much joy whenever I get to say back in my day. You know what's the most fun thing about teaching? Is like, one of the most fun things about teaching, one of them of course is info dumping about your special interests. Like I just get to info dump on people. I'm paid to info dump on people, and I think that's awesome. But the other awesome thing about it is that a lot of my students, increasingly every year, my students are more and more young relative to me, which means that I can cause immense psychic damage by using their slang just ever so slightly incorrectly. Yes, I am doing that intentionally. I intentionally go out of my way to learn the slang of the younger generation specifically so that I can misuse it. Am I evil? Maybe a little. But I'm having fun. We gotta find you have to find your joy. Skibbity Riz 67 flosses right. Neuron saw I got to this one. Possibly. Hey Thomas Frog, welcome. What the skibbity? Yep. I taught my dad. Oh, here's another silly story. I taught my dad the phrase Ohio Riz. And the other day, my dad told me, "Did you know that you can just have just Riz, not just Ohio Riz?" And I'm like, this man knew what Ohio Riz was, but did not know what just plain Riz was. And I thought that was hilarious. Oh no, Astral, that causes me pain. Oh yeah, I love linguistics and stuff. I think last night, Maury and I were both like passing back and forth videos about like weird linguistic sub-communities and also like just like slang and stuff like that. It was fun. But Mylan, you got the Ohio Riz. It's true. It's true. I have the Ohio Riz. One of my students, did I tell y'all this story? I do have a badge. Maury made a badge. I got an email from one of my students at the end of a semester that said that I had level 69 Skibbity Ohio Riz. My student told me this, and now Maury made me a button that says Skibbity Ohio Riz, and I'm debating putting it on my backpack that I use for work. Skibbity Ohio Riz, that's me. Teachers at uni, just info dumping is so real though. My first physics class got 2 seconds in the first lecture before we used seconds because SI units became atomic clocks are based on it. Right? No brainer, yes, peak. It should at least go in your testimonials. It should. Isn't it so good? It's so good. Yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it. Astral, that's so funny. But is Skibbity Ohio Riz inherently caused by intergroup conflict? I think there are intergroup roots there because the fact that Ohio means weird and off-putting says something about Ohio. You know, once I went to give a talk in Ohio, and I was just walking around, and I saw a sign on the side of a building, just completely unprompted, that said, "Ohio against the world," or something like that. And I'm like, man, y'all have it rough. Oh, man. Ohio, the gun prefecture. Oh, no. Ohio chooses to be this way, do they? Anyway, let's get back to reading. Let's get back to reading, or else next Thursday we're gonna have to continue reading, because we're not very far at all. We're on page 2 of 19. I'd be surprised if the most people here who say Ohio don't know what it is. They've never been to Ohio. I've been to Ohio. I have friends from Ohio. I have multiple friends from Ohio. I've been to Ohio. I can talk about Ohio. But what the heck does Ohio mean valid? I don't know. It depends on who's saying it and in what context. It can have various meanings. I'm going to Ohio later this year. Ooh, have fun. I don't even know what Skibbity is. Don't worry about it. In a shocking turn of events, it's been Ohio the whole time. That would be very funny. I am curious about the year Ohio was named. Maybe I'll look up the etymology later, but I want to read this paper. I'm genuinely excited about this paper, and I want to keep reading this paper. So, third, the presence or absence of trends and conspiracy. So basically this whole paragraph is just them making an argument for why it's important to collect longitudinal data, that is data over a longer period of time, not just at one time point of this stuff. Ohio's named after the Ohio River. And what was the river named for? What was the river named for? This is the real question. This is going to be my evening. Probably. Anyway, More generally, concerns about changes to the concerns about potential role of social media and conspiracy theories. So we can speak directly to that to see whether Ohio is the Seneca word for good river. Nice, I love it. I think that student was coming on to you. Definitely not. Definitely not. No, that student was definitely not coming on to me. That student skipped like so many of my classes and was constantly like not listening to instructions and stuff. If they were coming on to me, I'm glad I didn't pick up on it. Maury, are you gonna haunt that student? I don't think that Ohio Riz is a compliment. I'm pretty sure Ohio Riz is like, if it is a compliment, it's a kind of a backhanded compliment, is my understanding. Most things in America are either indigenous names or copied from Europe because America can't make up anything on its own. That's correct, Torg. Or they're named after, like, people who played important roles in the revolution. Like indigenous names copied from Europe, some person who played a role in the Revolutionary War. That kind of, like, covers a lot of things, I think. Yeah, Washington and Houston, yeah. Yeah, there's a couple others I could name, but I don't think that they're as universal as I think they are, so I don't want to name them in case I accidentally give some indication of where I am. Americans are indigenous or inherently... That's true! I mean, there are, of course, many Americans who don't fit either of those categories, but there are quite a few Americans who do fit those categories as well. Okay, anyway, where were we? More generally, concerns about changes in the socio-political landscape that implicate conspiracy theories from polarization to democratic backsliding can only be fully tested with data tracking changes in conspiracy beliefs. So yeah, they're just justifying why they're doing this. Martin Luther King, but Martin Luther. You make a point. You make a point. It's a complicated thing. It's always annoying when I hear people like Belgrade and they don't specify it isn't significant historic city, is instead some random town with 5 people. That is a risk. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's not my place to apologize, but I'm gonna apologize anyway. Brazil has a lot of places with indigenous names too. I don't see what's the big deal about it. Oh, it's not really a big deal. I think it's a good thing, honestly. All right. Torg, please. All right, given the lack of confirmatory evidence and stakes involved, it is imperative that the popular narrative that belief in conspiracy theories have increased over time be treated as a falsifiable hypothesis. So this is what people have been saying. Is it true? That's the point of the paper. Is this actually the case? Investigates over time. Study 1 is the over time for a 55 period. So between the Kennedy assassination and COVID conspiracy theories, 46 banned. Torg is fine. Oh, I should probably be taking... Oh. So, study 1. Steedham, the Ohio thing is just a meme, yeah. So study 1. This is longitudinal study in America, tracks belief in 49 conspiracy theories over time. Time periods vary. Study 2. Study 2 is 6 theories in 6 different European countries for a 2-year period. So that's not like a super long period compared to some other things, but that's okay. That's okay. Moving away from beliefs in specific conspiracy theories and towards more general operationalizations of conspiracism in the US. So the conspiracy theory literature does distinguish between belief in specific conspiracy theories and a general tendency to believe conspiracy theories. Study 3 tracks perceptions about which social and political groups are conspiring. So this is really cool. US, again, specifically who is being blamed in conspiracy theories over time. So that's not really speaking necessarily, well, based on what we know right now, it's not really tracking the prevalence of conspiracy theories overall, but I do think it's really interesting, and I have wondered what type of, like, have we seen a shift in who's being blamed for theories over time? Because we definitely see a shift in who's blamed for theories depending on the culture that you're in, but I imagine that would also differ over time as well. Like I was saying earlier, like international relations and things like that, and intergroup conflict, and that sort of historical context definitely affects the types of theories, and I imagine it's also who's being blamed in theories. And then study 4, GCB. So generalized conspiracy thinking is also known as conspiracy mentality, is also known as conspiracy instinct. I've seen it referred to. In this case, they're called generic conspiracy thinking, generic conspiracy beliefs, generalized conspiracy beliefs. It has a lot of different names, and some people think that these are different things. Other people think they're all the same thing, but it's just a general tendency to believe conspiracy theories, or you can also think of it as like a general worldview that makes you more likely to believe conspiracy theories. You just believe the world works in a certain way. Like, let's say I believe that that powerful people are prone to keeping secrets. That belief about the world makes conspiracy theories feel more plausible. That would be sort of this general conspiracy mindset. It does seem to have some origin stereotypes about people, yeah. And like just general Ohio in general, I think. Okay, tracking conspiracy mindset over time. From 2012 to 2021, probably starting in 2012, because 2012 was around when this concept was really becoming sort of crystallized. I think the concept was first brought up kind of like as a thing in like in the 1960s. There's kind of like this essay in the 1960s called The Paranoid Style of American Politics by Hofstadter. And that was like the first major modern academic paper about conspiracy beliefs, at least in the social sciences, kind of. And it sort of really started out talking about this sort of conspiracy mindset thing. But it only really became crystallized as like a construct in psychology and political science around 2011 to 2012. So that's probably why the measurement starts in 2012. Oh man, I'm curious what it was that you were primed to crop. Evil. Across all studies, we fail to observe compelling evidence that either specific conspiracy beliefs or general forms of conspiracism have increased. So this is, I do want to like make a note. We'll have to see exactly how they're testing the hypotheses, but absence of evidence is not necessarily evidence of absence. What this means is traditionally, psychology and political science use what we call frequentist statistics. So I think at least somebody who was here earlier had been watching through my statistics lectures, and I know Tyler watched them. This is related to something called the null hypothesis. Every time we test a hypothesis, we also have something called the null hypothesis. The hypothesis in this case would be that there is an increase in conspiracy beliefs over time. The null hypothesis is that there has been no change in conspiracy belief over time. Nothing is happening. We cannot provide evidence for the null. So just because they did not find an increase over time does not mean that there was not an increase over time. Failing to reject the null, not finding any evidence for an increase, does not mean that there was no change. Those are not the same thing. So they can't say that it has stayed the same, assuming that they're using the typical type of statistics. They cannot say that we have evidence that it has stayed the same, but they can say we have not found any evidence that it has changed. Essentially, we have no evidence that has changed, and this is particularly compelling because they have done 4 different studies on a total of, it's 49 plus 6, right? So like that's 55 different conspiracy theories. 4 different studies, 55 conspiracy theories, 7 countries. Who knows, and like multiple ways of measuring conspiracy theories. And they have found not one of those studies and not one of those countries and not one of those methods of measuring have found any evidence for an increase. So can we conclude that things have stayed the same? No. But we can probably be fairly confident that at least there hasn't been a major increase because they have repeatedly failed to find evidence for an increase. And if there was a major increase, we'd imagine they'd at least find it sometimes, right? So, like, yeah, based on what I'm reading so far, they failed to reject the null. They failed to reject the null. They have not found anything that, like, says compellingly there was an increase. They have not found any evidence for this increase that everybody seems to be assuming exists. Sorry, I wanted to turn on a light, and now my neck is broken. Okay. Actually, do y'all mind if I go grab a drink? I'm almost out of water. Is that okay? We're at a page break. Not even a false positive, right? That's another thing. Like, if they had only found one piece of evidence that these things were related, then even then that could have been a false positive. What if they're just hiding the increase? Who knows? Who knows? Hydration is important. What if I get something to drink but I don't get water? What if I get a soda? Is that still okay? Is that still allowed? Will you be mad at me? Is that okay? No soda! Why not soda? I just finished a whole glass of water. I just finished a whole glass of water, Maury. It is a Dr. Pepper, Tyler. Don't worry. It's better than not getting it. What if I get, okay, what if I get a Dr. Pepper and a water? I just had water, Maury. Okay, I'll get another glass of water and then I will get my soda. Okay, all right. I will be right back, but I'm going to leave you here with my hollow corpse, okay? My hollow corpse will be watching you. There you go. I'll be right back. You are being, I know the eyes aren't open, but you are being watched. Are you behaving? Are you behaving? Did you behave? Dilute the Dr. Pepper in water? PhD student. ABD Pepper. Aw. Yeah, sorry, I'm back. I'm right near my kitchen, so it was pretty easy. I've got a glass of water. You can hear it, and I got my soda. There you go. All right. Gonna drink a little bit of water, and then, oh, ethics. Oh, that's right, because PloS does require ethics statements. This is published in PloS, by the way, so you can, this is completely open access. You do not need to pay anything to read this. You don't need to be subscribed to PloS to read this. There's a link in the description of the stream. You can go and follow along. If you're getting frustrated that I'm taking too long, you can go and read ahead. If you missed something that I said, or like you came in late and you want to catch up, or like skim through the abstract, or like look at a table or whatever it is, you just go in the description and there's a link to the paper. It's open access. Anyone can read it. It's not restricted or anything. Yeah. But yeah, PloS makes you do an ethics statement. So all polls fielded by the authors. I'm sure they're including some other data as well. Maybe the real conspiracy is that conspiracy theories are increasing. Do they have other types of papers there? Yeah, PloS is a multidisciplinary journal. So they have papers from all kinds of areas. Psychology is only one of them. And then there's also like PloS journals specifically for specific disciplines. But PloS is just like general, like the biology one, the biology one. My friend who streams biology stuff, also reads papers from PloS. I wonder if Z could find some papers from PloS. I don't know, probably. I hope they have some about solar. I have seen papers about solar on PloS. In fact, like here's my collection of stream safe papers that I was looking at. I do have one that was, I think I have one. Yeah, this one's about climate change more broadly, but I'm sure they have others about solar. I'm slowly increasing. This isn't the only papers that I'll have. These are just the ones that I found today that I thought would be fun for stream, and also have the copyright permissions for stream. So anyway, where were we? Affirmative consent was provided, so participants provided informed consent. Details of institutional review board approval for all author field surveys is included in the SI. The SI. Supplemental material. I didn't realize I scrolled down slightly and legit thought you only had 2. No, I have how many? I have 5, yeah. Though one of them is a reply to another one that I don't have in here, so I'll have to see if the original paper is. But it's by it's by Karen Douglas and and Robbie Sutton. Pikmin 1, Pikmin 2, and Pikmin 3. Pikmin Complete Control for the Wii. Pikmin Porn 5, Pikmin 6, Pikmin 7, Pikmin 18 million and 11. Did I tell you the other day I had that song stuck in my head and I was singing it as I walked through campus, and then I had to stop myself, like, if anyone knows what this is from, I'm doomed. Like, I was singing Psy's version of the Pikmin song while wearing my Phi hoodie. And I was like, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. When are we getting the Mylan cover? If Psy invites me, I'll be happy to join her for the updated version, because I think she said she was interested in doing an updated version of the Pikmin song. I'd be happy to join her. Peak V Theorem fan, it's true. What are the odds, though? I did once, when I was wearing my Phi hoodie, have a student tell me that they thought they recognized the character on my hoodie. I don't know if they were mistaking him for someone else or if they actually thought it was Phi, but Phi has 50k subs now, right? Or something ridiculous. Like, Phi's getting, like, up there. I think the likelihood that I encounter that somebody recognizes my hoodie goes up every day. And Psy's getting considerably bigger too, you know? Like, they thought he was Dr. Laboob. Can we call Phi Dr. Labubu? Not statistically significant chances. Things that aren't statistically significant happen all the time. I have things about me that would be considered statistically significant. He recently crossed 66,666. And those are just the subscribers. Watch numbers are also include non-subscribers, so who knows? I have plenty of YouTubers that I watch on a regular basis that I'm not subscribed to, which I know is not good. I'm sorry. I should subscribe to them, I know. I'm bad at feeding the algorithm. Pikmin 3 Deluxe and Hey Pikmin, new centrifuge to put Pikmin in. Pikmin in your membrane, that's called Pikmin blot. Old Pikmin theorem that science has forgot. When are we getting Mylan to 66,666? Get Mylan to 666 first. Actually, don't. I'm fine where I am, but there's a lot. There's at least 2 numbers full of 6s before we get that far. If we ever do, which we probably won't. I don't have the same level of drive Phi has. All right. So this is a study one. Wow, that was a really short intro. That was only like just a little more than a page. Only member I'm missing. Oh yeah, Z streams are great. Yeah, but you do need to, they are kind of irregular, so you gotta catch them when you can. But I definitely recommend them. They are shorter than Psy streams, and they're less regular than Psy streams, so they're harder to catch. Phi streams do tend to go on longer. And it's because where Z's laptop is on its last legs. It is struggling. I need to acquire a bot farm. No, please don't bot me. Please don't bot me. Not the negative kind of bots, but also not the positive kind of bot. I don't need that kind of attention. You already know how flustered I get. Like, my concurrent viewers for the stream it has gone over 20 a couple of times, and that has never happened on one of my solo streams that I can think of on YouTube, and I'm already kind of nervous about it. Z streams are like shooting stars, I guess short and hard to catch. Yeah, kind of like that. But they're also pretty and good, like real shooting stars as well. All right. Right, no, but Tyler, no, don't do that. It's a valid to want a small platform. Not everyone needs 1 million subs to be successful. Yeah. I don't want 1 million subs. Like, on the one hand, it would be cool and very validating for me. But on the other hand, I have social anxiety. That would be immensely stressful for me. I would put a lot of pressure. I already put a lot of pressure on myself that I'm just trying to keep under control. And having my platform stay relatively small, I think, prevents me from, like, having a total collapse. Don't worry, we are only all watching. Shut up, Astral. Shut up. It does help to see familiar names. So, you know, like Maury and Astral and Tyler, I see y'all a lot. Cedia, Rain, I see y'all. No pressure, only subs. I'm gonna start biting. I'm gonna start biting. Let's get to study one. Let's get to study one. We're finally getting to the meat of it. Watchers, yes, no pressure. I just need to, like, just not look at how many people are viewing the stream, I think. That's probably the trick. 20 concurrent viewers is a good classroom size. That's true. That's the size of my smallest class, actually. Though, I mean, people skip, so usually... This, what I have right now, I'm currently showing 14 on my view of concurrent viewers, and that's a pretty typical, like, attendance for my smallest class this semester, so I guess I can deal with it. It feels smaller online than it does in a room. I turn off all the stats when I stream. I never look until I finish. That's probably the smart thing, honestly. Oh, I'm sorry, Astral. Anyway, let's get into study one. Oh, they're finally they're defining conspiracy theory in study one. That's interesting. Oh, so they have like mini sub introduction. The introduction for study one is shorter than the full introduction. Or is longer than the introduction for the full paper. That's interesting. You don't see, or it's about the same length. Either way, I'm gonna put, I'm still used to Mendeley. Like, Mendeley kind of destroyed itself, but I'm used to how Mendeley would... So what I would do is, like, I'd put, like, a sticky note in Mendeley and say study one, and that would, like, allow me to skip to that specific sticky note on the side thing if I came back to the paper later, but I don't know... I don't think I can do that in Zotero. I have a lot to learn. Anyway, where were we? A conspiracy... I'm just gonna do it out of habit. A conspiracy theory is an explanation of past, present, or future events or circumstances that cites as the primary cause a small group of powerful people working in secret for their own benefit against the common good and in a way that undermines bedrock ground rules against the widespread use of force and fraud. I've never seen it defined that way before in those specific words. However, that is very consistent. Like, everybody uses different words to do it, but they're all getting at the same general concepts. That's pretty consistent. In fact, I bet if we go to paper 16, it will not use these words to define it, and it will have slightly different criteria based on experience, but like it's still like the general theme is there. So people often ask me what counts as a conspiracy theory. This is their definition of a conspiracy theory, and I think it's kind of implied that this has not been... Oh, here it is. Here's the second bit. Furthermore, conspiracy theories have not been judged as likely accurate by the appropriate epistemological bodies using publicly available evidence. So that's the part of why they're conspiracy theories as opposed to conspiracies. Because they're an explanation that has not been supported by publicly available evidence that has been provided by the epistemological bodies. In other words, like the sort of organizations or groups that we usually go to for knowledge. It's good that they give a definition. Yeah, any academic paper worth their salt should give a definition. It's just that, like, in my experience, at least for the early days of researching conspiracy theories, everybody had, like, a slightly different definition, and what would count as a conspiracy theory in one paper would not fit the definition in another paper, and it was very frustrating. I'm really glad that we're landing on a more concrete, consistent definition across the literature, and also this is one of the better definitions I've seen, because most definitions I see don't actually address the second part of, like, that they aren't confirmed. Which is, it's good to see. Hey again, Comey! So if you want to run a longer study for conspiracy theory belief, how would you handle conspiracy theories that later become conspiracy fact? Let's see if they do that in here. That's a good question. Because they are conspiracy theories up until they are judged as likely accurate by the appropriate epistemological bodies using publicly available evidence, right? So, like, just because something is a conspiracy theory does not mean it's inherently false. I'm not saying that all conspiracy theories are true, or even that the majority of conspiracy theories are true. I am saying, however, that we do know that there have been a small number, mind you, of conspiracy theories that later were judged as likely accurate by epistemological bodies using publicly available evidence. At the point when that hits, they are no longer a conspiracy theory. I do wonder if they have anything like that in this data set, but I'm guessing for simplicity's sake and to make it not a total headache, they stuck to ones that do not have the second characteristic. A lot of conspiracy theories that were true are often half-truths. Yeah, they're often pretty close, but they're not, like, entirely dead on. A lot of, like, the ones that end up being true, people had, like, a pretty good idea of what was going on, or like a rough idea of what was going on, and they got some things right, but it's almost never they got every single detail right, or like they got every single aspect of it correct. Which, I mean, makes sense, because the thing is secret and they're making guesses, you know? Like, it would probably be impossible to just randomly guess everything correctly unless you had insider information that wasn't publicly available. A conspiracy theory belief is one's acceptance of a specific conspiracy, that a specific conspiracy theory is likely true. So here's all their definitions. All their definitions are right here. I'm not gonna like make a note on these definitions because I'm pretty familiar with these definitions already, because again, this is my area of expertise. But if you're wondering what all these things mean, it's here. How could you half fake a moon landing? I could think of very, like, if we want to, like, speculate, we could imagine somebody half-faked a moon landing by, like, maybe they did land on the moon, but then their cameras, the cameras malfunctioned on the moon, and therefore they filmed a fake moon landing, but they actually did land on the moon. So the footage was a hoax, but the actual feat was not a hoax. I mean, like, if they filmed a fake moon landing just in case, that's also the case. Like, maybe they filmed a fake moon landing just in case. But then they actually succeeded, and so they put out the, you know, like, the footage was real, but they didn't actually land. Yeah, like, maybe they, like, went for an orbit around the moon, or they got close to the moon, but they didn't actually land on the moon, or, like, there's many possible, like, ways that conspiracy theory could be half true. It was a soundstage on Mars. Yeah, they didn't actually land on the moon. They actually landed on Mars and built a soundstage to make it look like someone took the footage for them. Yeah, they just found like some random person already on the moon and was like, hey, film this for us. They hired Stanley Kubrick, but he's a perfectionist, so he shot it on. I've seen that. Armstrong and Buzz are actually from the moon. They just picked them up. I'm sorry, this is so fun. I would love to do a whole stream of that sometime, but for now, I want to read this paper because I'm still really pumped. More than 40 conspiracy theories to test the simplest version of the hypothesis that conspiracy theory beliefs are increasing, which is, okay, so they're testing various, like, versions of this. I'm gonna add this in. Y'all believe in the moon? I know, right? The moon is actually a giant supercomputer that is recording all of that is observing us and recording all of human history. And eventually there will be a Grail War held on the moon in the virtual space. Anyway. Oh, have a good dinner, Maury. Oddly specific theory. Don't worry about it, Maury. Don't worry about it. Play Fate Extra. Or Fate Extella. Was that Fate? It was Fate. I'm sorry. That could be ordained by fate. Maury, go eat your dinner, Maury. You can't yell at me about not drinking water and then just skip your, like, be late to dinner. Go eat your dinner. Is his head just astral, please? Okay, let's get back on topic. Let's get back on topic. Okay, so this is their most simple hypothesis, which is just like proportion H1 proportion of, like, maybe I'll put it as like percentage of people who believe CTs has gone up. And that's their most basic version of it, is just more people believe it than previously. Or more people believe conspiracy theories than have previously in other points in history. We test this hypothesis using numerous conspiracy theories. Each conspiracy theory constitutes a unique test. So they're saying, essentially, we're testing this same hypothesis 46 times, because they had 46 conspiracy theories. So we're not just testing this once. We are testing this 46 times, which I don't know if I quite agree that each one is a separate test of the overall hypothesis. Well, no, I guess they specified specific conspiracy theory. Okay, that's fair. Never mind. I think that if this was just like belief in conspiracy theories has gone up over time. They're looking at, did belief in this theory increase over time? Did belief in this theory increase over time? So they're looking at, did the proportion of people believing this specific theory increase, as opposed to, did the proportion of people who believe any theory increase? Which makes sense. Believing any theory would be a very, very, very difficult thing to test. And the fact that they're doing this across 46 conspiracy theories does make it more comprehensive than it would be otherwise. All right. Where were we? We would reject the null hypothesis, so that the proportions believing the specific conspiracy theory, like I said, the null hypothesis, it looks like they're doing a directional null hypothesis where they're specifically saying anything but an increase is not support for the hypothesis. That is what, clipping that? Fair enough, Tyler. Go for it. No aliens here, only cryptids. Only cryptids. Only terrestrial cryptids, no aliens. Aliens are lame. Aliens are lame. Only cryptids are cool. Don Da Don. I have beef with Don Da Don because it made cryptids into aliens, and I'm like, why did you have to take something that I love so much and make it into something I find so boring? Aren't birds arboreal? I guess I was using terrestrial as in comes from Earth. Comes from Terra. Just broadly speaking, but fair enough. I know. Also, is a Mothman a bird? That's another question. How would you even survey for general conspiracy belief? You'd get so many false negatives. Oh, yeah, there's measures for conspiracy mindset, which is kind of general conspiracy belief. X-Files collab with NEP to change your mind? No. NEP will not succeed. Aliens are boring to me. I'm so disappointed about the new Jujutsu Kaisen manga because now there's aliens. Now there's aliens in Jujutsu Kaisen. Like, is it good otherwise? Yes. But aliens. Yeah, the Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo. It's a new manga that's coming out. It's a sequel to... Well, it's kind of like a sequel to Jujutsu Kaisen. It's like you time skip and then you follow a new generation of Jujutsu sorcerers, but there's aliens now. And I just find aliens so much more boring. I don't know why. Adding aliens to a shonen series was a good idea once and never again. I will say, Modulo has been very, very well received. And I do think it's a good series. And I think it's good. And I think it's very important specifically. Like, I don't think curses would have worked as good as aliens in this context. But... yeah, I just find aliens boring. I was right to stop JJK before the last hour. I like JJK. I do think that the ending of the original manga was way more... It needed more room to breathe. It needed more room to breathe. It's like, shonen manga these days, I've talked about this on stream before, but my beef with shonen manga endings these days, like My Hero Academia, like Jujutsu Kaisen, Oshinoko is not exactly a shonen manga, but like same kind of deal. They hit the climax of the story and then they just stop. There's no falling action. There's no like going back to your day-to-day lives. It's just like, big thing happened, it's over, and then over. Yeah, JJK ended. The manga ended. The anime's still ongoing. I just watched the new episode right before stream. Vapid. Hey, RP Hips, how you doing? Yeah, it's just like, they don't give it room to breathe. A lot of shonen manga they slam directly into the conclusion and they slide down the wall. It's just a sudden cut off with no falling action, and I just don't think that makes for a very satisfying ending. Tip your landlord. No! Anyway, where were we? Man, I'm getting hungry. When did it get this late? Have we been going for an hour and 40 already? Me praying Kagurabachi doesn't lose its hype when it ends? Yeah. I will say, Jigoku Raku, Hell's Paradise, that one stuck the landing so well. It did so good. That was a good ending for a shonen manga. Saying it? You need a Frodo sailing off to the afterlife because he's sad Sam didn't choose. Oh my god. I want some kind of falling action. I want some, like, characters returning to their lives. But yeah, Jigoku Raku. Oh, hey, Uesugi! How you doing? But yeah, Jigoku Raku, incredible ending. In fact, over winter break, I went out and I bought the entire series of Jigoku Raku. What about cryptids from space? Still kind of boring. That's the Flatwoods Monster, honestly, is kind of boring to me. Like, the Flatwoods Monster is a cryptid, but the Flatwoods Monster is thought to be, like, the part of the cryptid lore is that the Flatwoods Monster is an alien, and I kind of find it boring. I'm sorry. Sorry. Just making something an alien just makes it more boring to me. I think it's more interesting when there's unknowns on our planet. Oh, right. Bushi! Sorry, Bushi! Oh my gosh, we've been over this before, and I just have no recollection for these things. I'm so sorry, Bushi, but welcome. We are reading a paper about whether belief in conspiracy theories has actually been increasing, because a lot of people seem to believe that over the past, like, however many years, more and more people are believing conspiracy theories. But data from 2011 contradicts that and says that over a 200-year period, conspiracy theories hadn't actually increased. And now we're looking at a paper from 2022, so more up to date, that's also checking to see if that's the case, because the popular conception doesn't match the 2011 data. And based on this paper from 2022, it seems like, again, it's not matching the data. It hasn't actually increased. Yeah, okay, Astro, let's keep reading. A majority of conspiracy beliefs we examine show evidence of a significant increase. So, so are they actually doing 46 tests, or are they treating it as we only reject the null that conspiracy belief has increased if the majority of theories has shown an increase? Or the increases we observe are larger in magnitude than any decreases we observe. So basically, we're seeing more increase in belief than decrease, or just generally the majority of conspiracy theories are seeing an uptick in belief. Over time, that would be evidence that conspiracy belief is increasing. If they don't see that, they say we don't have any evidence that it's actually increasing. Our hypothesis and the popular claims it's based on speak to increases in belief rather than changes in the intensity of non-belief. So, why does your thumbnail not have any measurements on the X and Y axis? Because I was being lazy. It's just symbolic. It's not a real graph. So if people jump from one to another, then that's a net zero. Yeah, Torque, that would be considered a net zero here, because that's not actually a change in how many people believe conspiracy theories, or like how many conspiracy theories are being believed in. That's just a net zero change. It's just levels staying the same. Even if they're changing to different theories, the actual baseline level of belief in conspiracy theories, or the amount of conspiracy theories people believe, or the amount of people believing conspiracy theories has still stayed the same, even if the specific theories have changed. So that would still be considered like we have not found evidence. And I think that's probably what's happening. I don't think that people are probably believing the same conspiracy theories over long periods of time, unless it's a really big one, like JFK conspiracy theories. I think for the most part, it's like we haven't seen a change in overall incidence of this, but like the content of the beliefs has changed. That's what I'd probably guess is going on. Claims about increasing conspiracy beliefs often lack specificity regarding the rate or absolute levels of change. So like people are saying it's going up, but they don't really say how much it's gone up. Some accounts suggest increases should be swift, easily detectable, and ongoing. So we should see a huge spike in belief that's still going, with people venturing down conspiracy-fueled rabbit holes on social media. Those things where it's like, I kept clicking on, I let the algorithm radicalize me. I kept clicking links until I got to like flat earther stuff or whatever. You've seen those videos? I see those videos. Thus finding themselves believing in elaborate conspiracy theories about Bill Gates, 5G wireless technology, vaccines, and masks, and then within days they begin to believe the President Donald Trump is waging a secret war to save trafficked children from the cabal of Satan-worshipping baby eaters. I've seen a lot of claims. I've seen op-eds and stuff like that making this claim that like the social media algorithm is dumping people. Essentially, the social media algorithm is serving as kind of like a water slide directly into conspiracy hell or whatever. In secondary school, they had a whole half term on JFK conspiracy, and we were given homework to come up with our own conspiracies. That's wild. That's wild. I love that. That's cool. I've been thinking about creating an entire course on like belief in misinformation and conspiracy theories to like teach at my university. And that would be a fun activity, honestly. I love that. I might use that idea. Me stepping away for a second to fix the vacuum and come back to a cabal of baby eaters. Yep. This is what reading streams are going to look like from now on, Bushi. You step away for a second, I'm going to be reading something completely outrageous from now on, because now I'm just going to be reading a lot of conspiracy papers. Now, what radicalized me was atrocious work conditions, fair. And then there's ChatGPT apparently going full crystal mysticism at the drop of the hat. Yeah, I bet there's been papers on how AI has... I feel like how AI goes with conspiracy belief, but that's still a pretty recent phenomenon. So I'm not sure how many papers will be peer-reviewed and published yet, but I'm very interested in that and seeing what there is out there about that. This was before generative AI was as advanced or as ubiquitous as it is now. Most of this research was done in 2021 at the latest. Whew, speaking of reading, I need to file through that law review journal on law and psychology. I'll throw anything interesting your way. Awesome, thank you so much. That is one of the, my sort of pet psychology interests is psychology and law stuff. I haven't looked into it very deeply, but I do find it interesting. Okay. Other accounts are less specific, suggesting only that we have entered the golden age of conspiracy theorizing, which could mean anything. Yeah, AI psychosis is really scary. Fascinating and scary. Anyway, where were we? It's just the yes and machine. Whoa. But anecdotes aside, one may wonder how far apart time 1 and time 2 should be. So what kind of time frame are we expecting this rise in conspiracy theories to take place over? Has it been increasing over the past year, the past 2 years, the past decade? Is this the past 20 years? Is this the past century? What is this increase happening? Uscinski in that previous paper has already shown evidence that there wasn't an increase over a 200-year period. That was published, the first version of that was published in 2011 and then officially published properly in 2014. So that would suggest that if he and Parent did not find an increase in that 200-year period up until 2011 or so, then any increase we're seeing now probably theoretically shouldn't have started until the past 10, 15 years. But whatever. It is important to consider exactly what time period we're looking at, especially if we just want to independently replicate the findings of that paper. Do they increase linearly or non-linearly? So are they going up at a steady rate, or are they going up quickly and then slowly, quickly and then slow, whatever? Are they increasing by the week, the year, all this stuff? Wait, 200 years? Yeah. The other one they did was, the one Uscinski and Parent did was a 200-year period. They were measuring conspiracy belief based on conspiracy theories expressed in letters to the editor in newspapers. So they were able to go back a full 200 years. Because letters to the editor have been a thing for a very long time. It was such a cool paper. It's one of my favorite papers. It's called Conspiracy Theories Are for Losers. Should we expect greater increases over a 50-year period than a single year? It was such a cool method. I loved it so much. What's the acceleration and jerk of the increase? That's kind of what they're getting at. Do we know that? We have to take that into account when we're doing our time period. Is it possible that it stayed steady for those 200 years and then in the 10 years between that paper and this paper it suddenly shot up like crazy? What kind of pattern are we looking? If it is increasing, how is it increasing? And under what time period? What pattern? What's the accelerate? All these things. These are all things that they're trying to saying we need to consider this when we're setting the time period. How much torque do conspiracy theories? Also a great question. Napoleonic feels like it would be a conspiracy-heavy time. They were sneaking weapons to American evidence, stealing your sailors. It's an engineer era, I will assume a linear increase. Most psychologists do tend to be much more likely. The vast majority of time when psychologists are testing for increases, they will look for a linear effect. It's pretty rare to look for a quadratic or curvilinear effect. I've done that in the past, but a lot of people don't bother. And I think there are a fair number of psychologists who aren't too savvy at stats who don't even know that's possible, which is a darn shame because curvilinear effects are fun. Curvilinear effects are pretty popular though, at least in political conspiracy theory research. That's a thing that's relatively... Hey, this is dated shortly before your birthday? Hey, it is! That's awesome! Okay, anecdotes aside... Much like journalistic accounts, previous scholarship also fails to offer clear guidance on these questions, leaving theorizing about the form that a growth or decay function might take as either post hoc or case specific. Yeah, so it's basically, people say it's increasing, but we don't know how. Assuming that it is. They'll be really surprised when it turns out to be logarithmic and the steep part was in the 1500s. There's this really interesting paper from a historian about specifically, it posits that belief in conspiracy theories increases specifically during times around revolutions. So it was a paper about the French Revolution, and it looked at, like, you know, historical documents like letters and stuff, and it found in France an increase in mentions of conspiracy theories in personal correspondence and stuff like that leading up to the French Revolution. It was a really cool paper. I believe the author's last name was Tackett. It's an older paper. It's from like 2014 maybe, or maybe even the aughts. I don't remember. What if a few people are trading theories like Pokemon? That's not really borne out by the data. I mean, there are definitely like a small number of people who are crazy into conspiracy. I shouldn't say crazy. Who are very, very into conspiracy theories, but the vast majority of the population, at least in America, seems to believe at least one conspiracy theory. Like, this is not a rare thing. People are always like, don't you have trouble getting a sample of people who believe conspiracy theories to do your research? And I'm like, no, I've never had trouble with that. Sometimes I got people who believe conspiracy theories even when I didn't want them. They just showed up. I was like hoping to get people specifically who didn't believe this specific conspiracy theory that I thought was very silly, and then my participants showed up and they're like, oh yeah, I believe that. And I'm like, oh, dang it. People are more willing to believe their superiors are colluding against them right before they act on that belief. Weird. Yeah. Starter conspiracy theory, dearest brothers with a heady heart that I believe second oh my gosh. Oh, I didn't realize that was monarchist at first. I was reading manarchist and I'm like, man, the incel, like, vocabulary is getting wild. Okay, let's keep going. We remain agnostic to questions regarding the rate of change. So they're not going to try and predict if it's going fast or slow. H1 is only saying that levels of conspiracy belief at time 2 are greater than time 1. So they're just saying, we're going to pick a start time, we're going to pick an end time. We just predict that the amount of belief at the end time will be higher than the start time. A manarchist is a grown-up anarchitty. Let's make it gender neutral. Let's make it... I'm kidding. It's not the point right now. We test H1 comprehensively, intentionally altering assumptions and details. Specifically, we employ comparisons ranging from 7 months to 55 years, so they have varying time frames, short time spans and longer time spans. Conspiracy theories that vary both in age and in the presumed salience of the events and circumstances they address. So they're taking conspiracy theories that are really old, they're taking conspiracy theories that are very new, and conspiracy theories that both feel very relevant at the time period or don't feel all that relevant at the time period. Oh, familiar with fluoride conspiracy theories, including one from my own coworkers. Oh, that sucks. My sister is a nurse, and she's told me about anti-vax conspiracy theories among her medical coworkers, which makes me feel some kind of feeling. The conspiracy theories we test range from centuries old, for example, the Rothschild family, or decades old, the Pearl Harbor attack, to only a year old, COVID-19. So this research was conducted in 2021. So at that point, COVID-19 conspiracy theories would be like a year old max. I'm putting the can in canarchy. Oh, no. The length of time between our measurements provides ample potential for growth to be detected, even at the shortest time length, which was 7 months. Manarchism wouldn't be the terrible rebrand for the Patriot. I feel like anarchism and I feel like those are two different systems rather than the same thing. Second, claims about increases in conspiracy theory belief often fail to specify which conspiracy theories they're referring to. Which, yeah, like if it's belief in conspiracy theories about like aliens or like a collective unconscious, that's a very different type of belief than beliefs in conspiracy theories about things like voter fraud or like monopolies or whatever, or like, you know, collusion between companies to raise pricing and stuff like that. Those are two very different genres of conspiracy theories that probably have very different consequences and things like that. So it is important to note what type of conspiracy theories exactly we're talking about. Nice, Maury. Many accounts suggest that beliefs in all conspiracy theories are increasing, implying that growth should be detectable for any conspiracy theory, which, even though I don't necessarily believe that they've gone up, especially after, you know, reading the abstract, spoilers, I can't imagine that all types of conspiracy belief have gone up. They are the opposite. Oh my gosh. Furthermore, popular accounts rarely set limits on their claims by, for example, delineating which of it should not be expected to increase in popularity over time. Yeah, I imagine there are some that wouldn't increase just because they're irrelevant now, or like they've fallen out of public consciousness. I'm sure that there's many conspiracy theories that we've just forgotten about. Researchers cannot examine every conspiracy theory because it's theoretically infinite. Yeah, there's a theoretically infinite number, so there's not a reason you can't do that. Given that investigation of beliefs of all or most conspiracy theories is impossible, we touched hypothesis 1 using a large number of survey items spanning the 5 categories of conspiracy theories identified by Brotherson, French, and Pickering. Ooh, I have not read this. I am going to add a note to myself. Check out reference 20. Brotherson, French, and Pickering. What's this paper? When was this published? 2013. Oh, no, I have read this paper. That's the GCBS. That's the generic conspiracy belief paper. I just didn't remember that they gave a taxonomy in there off the top of my head. Okay, I have read that. Never mind, I've read that. I just didn't remember that there was a taxonomy in there. Never mind. Belief in cryptids is just folklore. Belief that official institutions are hiding them. Yes, CDM, you've got it. You know, you can tell the difference. Oh, yeah. Yeah. No worry, Tyler. They do give a definition for conspiracy theory. If you click the link to the paper in the description, you can get it. It is on page 3 at the very start of the study 1 section. They give a very detailed description of what counts as a conspiracy theory for them. Where were we? Okay. Government malfeasance, extraterrestrial cover-up. So these are the categories that they're talking about. Government malfeasance. So the government did a bad thing. We're hiding aliens. That feels like a very specific category. Extraterrestrial cover-up. Wait, can we just call this aliens in general? Malevolent global conspiracies. So like just the Illuminati or whatever. Oh, good night, Elgas. Sleep well. And personal well-being. So this is like health conspiracy theories. And control of information, so cover-ups. Look! Epstein made it in! Congrats, I guess. I don't know. Anyway. Because this study is situated in the US, where partisan politics often inflame conspiracy theory belief, is that a US unique thing? I feel like politics in many places where well, I guess the US only has a 2-party system, which probably makes it easier to have cohesive, widespread conspiracy theories of, like, particular... It makes the landscape of political conspiracy theories probably simpler to navigate than in places that have more complex things. And also the US has a bit of a winner-take-all system, which probably also inflames that kind of political conflict. Thank you, Astral. Thank you. Thank you. I was talking about the conspiracy theory, by the way. There's some interesting stuff coming out about this theory, by the way, lately. Sleep well, Rain! There's like some interesting stuff going on with this lately. I've been hearing a lot of interesting stuff in the documents that's been released. I'm very interested to see where that goes. Or what happens with that, or what happens to like the perceived plausibility of it. Or like just general belief levels. That would be an interesting case study, honestly, of like all the stuff that's going on right now. I wish I still had access to like APIs for social media sites so I could take stuff like the aliens. There was some interesting stuff in the alien stuff. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I'm not gonna really talk about it, but that's a rabbit hole you can go down if you want to feel really gross and bad. I don't recommend it. But you could, I guess. All right. Restricted to the universes of conspiracy theories that are previously included in at least one national survey. So they're getting around the problem that a lot of national surveys don't ask about these things multiple times due to the fact that they only need one time point, and then they can take their own time to measurement, which that's somehow that never occurred to me. I feel kind of silly that that never occurred to me, but that's really smart. I love that. Second-order analyses must rely on previous measurements at the time they were taken and not necessarily when the theories were developed or when the event or circumstance occurred. So that makes sense. Like, you're looking at their prevalence when the question was asked, not when the event occurred, because you don't have data from when the event occurred, right? You only have it from when people actually started measuring that, which, duh. Third, an increase in conspiracism over time would result in fewer conspiracy-minded individuals participating in polls, thereby providing a downwardly biased estimate of conspiracy theories. So this is an interesting one. They're saying, if overall belief in conspiracy theories has gone up, people will be more skeptical of people asking them questions, and therefore less likely to either be honest or even participate in these things. And therefore, even if there has been an increase in conspiracy belief, we might not be able to see that at time two if we aren't careful about it, which that's a very fun thing of doing it. Oh yeah, Torg, that is an interesting one. I do wonder. I have there was a little while there where I was looking at I was doing some studies. I need to get back to them. Actually, I shouldn't tell you about this because it might potentially become doxable if I get back to them and publish this stuff. So never mind. Never mind. But I do think how conspiracy theories develop over time is a very interesting topic. Like how people elaborate on them, how people form them, how like which conspiracy theories from the day of keep going and which ones just kind of peter out. I think that's very, very interesting. I have done some work looking in that rough area, and I would love to keep doing that, but it's become harder because I don't have as much access to APIs for social media. Yeah, like myths, basically, yeah. Well, study 4, which examines the predisposition towards conspiracy thinking over time and finds stability over the course of a decade, seems to suggest that this is not an issue. We cannot fully rule out the possibility that it is indeed an issue affecting our results. Makes sense. That's not really something that you can get around. Like, you can get things that suggest that maybe it's not a problem, but you can't fully eliminate that as a limitation. It's just not how it works. All right, starting with hypothesis 1, with 2 critical cases that have recently attracted attention, conspiracy theories with COVID and QAnon. So again, 2021 paper. What are you doing over there? Okay. Throughout the pandemic, many scholars and journalists argued that COVID-19 conspiracy theories beliefs were on the rise. I think it makes sense that they'd be on the rise because they didn't exist prior to COVID-19 and therefore inherently they're on the rise, but like, I don't think that's kind of what they're talking about. We pulled on 2 COVID-19 conspiracy theories in the US in March 2020, so that's time 1. This was COVID was created and released by powerful people as part of a conspiracy. And the next one was the threat of coronavirus has been exaggerated by political groups who want to damage President Trump. Details about survey methodology and sample demographics appear in the appendix. These 2 theories cover the basic contours. They rose infinity%. That's true, yeah. When you think of it that way, they did rise infinity%. But I'm guessing by the point we hit March, these theories were already out there. So it's like saying they've already had time to do their initial rise, but it's still pretty early in the pandemic. After they were already out there in the world, did they go up over time? Or was it just like the people who believe them at the, like when they first came out, still believe them at the end? So here's their graph. Let's take a look at this figure right here. X-axis is the date. So we start with March 2020, then June 2020, October 2020, and May 2021. The hollow dots are that COVID was spread on purpose, and the filled in dots are that COVID was exaggerated. Oh, take care, Ibushi. Have a great one. Take care. Yeah, no worry, no pressure or anything. Happy Year of the Horse. And then the y-axis is the proportion of people who believe. I'm guessing this is like, you can think of it percent, like this is probably 30%, this is 40%, whatever. And the dots are the means, the dots are the proportions, and then the lines, the vertical lines are error bars, so that's like the noise around the estimate. If the error bars overlap, chances are those are not significantly different. That goes for both vertically and horizontally. And then the lines are change over time. And it looks like, it does look like, especially with the spread on purpose, it looks like the line goes down and then maybe slightly up. But if you look at the error bars across all three seem to overlap with each other. So there's no evidence, at least at a glance at the graph. We need to look at the stats to be sure, but like just at a glance at the graph, for both of these, it doesn't look like there's been any appreciable change over time. But let's look at the stats. Two theories cover the basic contours of COVID-19 theories in the US at the beginning of the pandemic. So these were like the two main sort of themes we were seeing in conspiracy theories at the start of the pandemic. The theory that the COVID was purposely created was found support among 31% of Americans in March 2020, 27 in June, 29 in May 2021. Lab leak hypothesis attacked significant increased non-significantly. So none of these changes, it looks like, were significant. This one is like, that's p equals 0.08, so that's getting close to the threshold of p.05, but it's not significant. This is 3 additional pandemic theories. The COVID is used to force a dangerous and unnecessary vaccine. Bill Gates is behind COVID. Do you remember that one? That was wild. COVID's being used to install tracking devices inside. I remember these. Oh, this is taking me back. All 3 decreased. The Bill Gates and tracking device theories significantly decreased at 3 and 6. So we do actually see some significant change here, but it's going in the opposite direction that the hypothesis would predict. Observed no evidence of increased beliefs for these 5 theories during COVID, precisely when increase were most expected. All right. Yeah, these were also, they were all quite silly. So yeah, wild how people cared. So here's time 1. So the earliest time point, here's the latest time point. Most of them we see fall. So belief here, that's not significant, but it appears to have fallen. Belief that Bill Gates was behind it, that fell, and that was a significant decrease. Used to install tracking devices, that fell, and that was a significant decrease. It looks like the number of deaths has been exaggerated. This one did have a significant increase. That's interesting. So they do have at least one theory that was a significant increase, but that's one theory out of, what is this? 7 theories. Only 1 out of the 7 theories saw a significant increase. 1, 2, 3, 4 out of the 7 theories saw a significant decrease, and 2 of the theories saw no change. So actually the majority decreased in belief. The majority of the theories decreased in belief. 1 of them did significantly increase, and then 2 of them just did nothing. They didn't change. Interesting. So they do have one that does increase, but it's not like the majority of them are increasing, which is kind of what the prediction was, that if overall conspiracy belief is increasing, then we should see the majority increasing, when really it's only 1 out of 7 that increased. Precisely, we observed no evidence over time growth for 5 COVID-19s we've queried and 4 pieces of misinformation we pulled on. Oh, so I guess, yeah, that has been exaggerated. Oh, I get it. Okay, sorry. They're making a distinction between conspiracy theories and misinformation. I should have noticed that. Conspiracy theories are conspiracy theories. Misinformation is false information that does not meet the criteria for conspiracy theories. So none of their conspiracy theories increased, and in fact, 2 out of 3 of them significantly decreased. For the misinformation, which is just false information generally that doesn't necessarily rise to the definition of conspiracy theory, we saw an increase in 1 piece of misinformation, no change for 1, and then a decrease for 2. So, okay, I stated that incorrectly. None of the conspiracy theories showed an increase in belief over time, and only 1 piece of misinformation showed an increase in belief over time. So that's for the COVID ones. QAnon belief in, I'm getting really hungry, so I might just get through, study 1, and then we can pick this up next Thursday, actually, because I'm not going to lie to you, I'm starving. I'm so hungry. I don't think I have it in me to finish this paper, especially because we're not halfway through yet. I hate to do this, but I think I'll get through study 1, and then we'll try and get through more of this next time, and hopefully finish it next time. Sorry. I just had dinner, you should too. Yeah, yeah. What is happening? Okay, so QAnon. Numerous reports claim that belief in QAnon was spreading, growing, and riding the pandemic to new heights. Oh, you're currently having dinner? I hope it's delicious. You have to finish your paper before you can have your dessert. Joke's on you, I don't have any dessert. Okay. Beyond this canonical QAnon adherents believe that the government insiders sent them secret messages about blah, 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 blah. We know QAnon. We know QAnon. Are you sure you didn't hide a dessert in the back of the freezer? I do have a Girl Scout cookie, a singular Girl Scout cookie in my freezer from 2017. I don't think it's good anymore. I should probably throw it out. This is the consequences of the Cold War between me and my sister of saving treats. I just ordered pizza. I want pizza. I should have got some pizza. No. I'm too old. I'm too old for this. I would not survive. I'm not gonna eat it. I would not survive. If I was younger, maybe. If I was younger, maybe, but I'm no longer young. My immune system is not what it once was. How did one cookie survive? It's the arms race between me and my sister to see who can finish their treats last, so we can gloat in front of the other one. It's been frozen. It's not like it could go back. I don't think that's how that works. It might be freezer burnt to hell. It probably... I win. I do win. You know what? I so win. But it doesn't even count as winning if there's been multiple, like, Girl Scout cookie orders and multiple, like, rounds of Girl Scout cookie orders since then. I think at that point it's no longer winning. It's just I lost out on eating a delicious Girl Scout cookie. Now I will... Actually, it should be okay outside from it being freezer burnt. Maybe I should eat it. Yeah, Theoric victory. That's exactly what this is. You flew too close to the sun. I would say I flew too close to the freezer. But crash. Cookie waste is a crime. It is, and I'm deeply ashamed of myself. That's right. I have to trust Mori implicitly. Mori, I trust you with my very life. You would never steer me wrong, Mori. The science VTuber presenting to the emergency room with acute abdominal pain and disorientation. My excuse is that I'm not that kind of science VTuber. I am not that kind of doctor. Hang on, I'm gonna do some more research. Mori, come back. I miss you already. I wouldn't trust someone with that. Torg makes a good point. Should we really be trusting Memento Mori, remember that you will die, when they tell me that it's okay to eat a cookie that is 9 years old? Honestly, do you think it would be safe assuming your freezer didn't lose power and let it thaw? There have been times when it was better and worse at freezing, but I don't think it's ever let it thaw out completely. I do have my doubts, though, so I probably won't eat it. I should definitely throw it out. I don't know why I've been clinging to it all this time. There's probably some reason for that I am not the right type of psychologist for. They would know if it would kill you, so it's obviously safe. You're right, Astral. You're right, Astral. You're so correct. All right. The first, are you a believer in QAnon? To which 5% of respondents. So pretty low incidence of QAnon believers in their initial poll. We then examined beliefs about conspiracy theories often associated with QAnon, blah, 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 blah. These theories were... So QAnon specifically, like, if you name QAnon specifically, very low endorsement. If you name specific theories associated with QAnon, higher endorsement. I do think... I've been wondering if I should do a study on this. There does seem to be some specific stigma around using using the name QAnon that isn't present among the conspiracy theories that necessarily make up the QAnon extended universe, if that makes sense. I don't know if these words make any sense. These are not technical terms that we would use. But I imagine that if I did use them in front of Joe Uscinski, he would know what I was talking about. or Enders. I imagine if I used it in front of Dr. Uscinski or Dr. Enders, they would know what I meant. But they are not technical terms. Well, the baseline levels of belief in these theories are normatively troubling. In no instance do we observe evidence for an increase over time. Okay, I'm back. Don't eat the cookie. Okay, Maury, I won't eat the cookie. Don't worry. Don't worry. Yeah, believing in parts rather than the whole seems like, yeah, and I think that a lot of people might believe these theories who aren't even aware that they're part of that, you know? The research has been done, the results are in. More research must be done. Throw that thing away, expert opinion. Okay, okay. All right, I'll throw it away. I'll throw it away. I need to let it go. I need to let it go. Let it go. Okay. We asked respondents to rate the movement on a feeling thermometer. So feeling thermometers are one way of measuring attitudes towards groups. A feeling thermometer is a measurement, exactly what they describe here. It goes from 0 to 100. 0 is very cold feelings, which means very negative. 100 is very warm feelings, which means very positive. It's a common way of measuring prejudice, or just generally prejudice towards specifically groups, social groups, in social psychology. So very common standard way of doing this. So they're doing this specifically for QAnon believers. If belief in or support for QAnon were increasing, we would expect increases in average rating assigned to it. I want support increasing, yes. I would expect if support increases, more warm feelings towards it. If belief in increases, I don't think that would necessarily lead to a direct increase in feeling thermometers, but maybe indirect. We find the opposite. In July 2019, the average rating was 21, and which is pretty low. So on a feeling thermometer, 50 on a feeling thermometer is just, I feel neutral about them. Anything below 50 is negative. Anything above 50 is positive. 21, that is negative. The freezer has probably lost power in the last 10 years. Never for long, though. I don't think I've ever had a power outage that lasted more than, like... I might have had a power outage that did last for an hour at some point in the past 10 years. Probably. I don't remember if that was before the cookie or after the cookie. BC, before cookie. Okay. If belief in or support for QAnon were increasing, blah, blah, blah. So basically their feeling thermometer, the way attitudes towards QAnon became worse over time. In total, belief and support for QAnon, as well as beliefs and ideas that QAnon movement broadly reported, remained stable through the pandemic and the 2020 election cycle, precisely when QAnon movement was widely perceived to be increasing in size. So it's probably not that it actually increased, it's probably more likely that just there was more news coverage of it because it felt relevant, and therefore it was more visible, but the actual baseline did not increase. I think my longest power outage in that time has been a few hours, and the freezer stuff was still frozen, right? I specifically don't open the fridge when there's a power outage. Everything is after the cookie. That thing's been there since the dawn of time. No, it hasn't. It's not that old. Okay. So, not a significant increase, not a significant increase, not a significant decrease, not a significant decrease. The only thing that changed is that people liked QAnon less over time. Everything else, like all the belief in all these like pieces of QAnon, or like saying that you believe QAnon, all of that did not change significantly over time. The only thing that changed is that people hated QAnon more. That's the only change. I mean, maybe last Tuesdayism is real and the Tuesday was the cookie update. What is happening? Only 1/5 of my clientele. Well, only 1/5 of my clientele is older than that cookie. Why did you have to put it that way, Maury? It's not a real problem until that cookie's older than my students, okay? That's when it becomes a real issue. Oh, my cookie would be in elementary school. Yay! That cookie's my child now. I will raise it as my own. It would be a 4th grade. Oh, my beautiful cookie's in 4th grade now. Good for the cookie. I'm so proud. I'm so proud. 4th grade in freezer school. The frozen vegetables are the teachers. Maybe they're, yeah, who knows, who knows. It's all about the time of year the cookie happened, right? Because, like, you know, there's the cutoffs for enrollment. It's probably releasing fumes of some kind. Astral. Astral. I'm gonna make you eat the cookie. You eat the cookie, Astral. Just for that, you're the one who has to eat the cookie. I'm serious. I'm serious. I'm gonna mail you this cookie. You're in trouble, buddy. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Okay. Other conspiracy theories moving beyond COVID and QAnon. Our analysis continued with the search of the Roper Central for Public... Oh, they went through this whole giant public opinion database to try and find as many conspiracy theories as they could. Oh, I wish I'd been involved with that. That sounds like the type of task that I would actually really love doing. Dr. Uscinski, Dr. Enders, everybody else on this paper, next time you need to do something like this, next time you have one of these thankless, tedious, silly tasks that involve digging through giant databases, I volunteer as tribute. I volunteer. Did they cover Big Soy? Let's find out. Our search identified only 10 such items prior to 2010. So they don't have much prior to 2010, which is, I think, is fine, because, like, Uscinski and Parent was through 2011. So they've already kind of, like, there's another paper that already covers that time. As nice as replications are, and they do have 10 that can replicate those findings. Like, you know, I think the most important thing about this paper is that it covers a time period that has not been previously covered. Or, well, the most novel thing about this paper. Largely concentrated in the last decade, so I feel like that kind of supports the idea that awareness has increased, as opposed to, like, it's not necessarily that the amount of people who believe this has increased or the level of belief has increased. It's more that just people are more aware of it than ever. It's easier to stumble across this stuff than ever. Maybe because of the internet. Like, maybe it's always been there, but now it's easier to see. Kind of like getting glasses. The past polls we identified address a range of topics: JFK assassination, various assassinations, illness, a bunch of different things. We expanded our search by utilizing items drawn from prominent studies spanning the past decade. All right. Our search identified a total of 37 items addressing conspiracy theories. Sorry, I keep getting emails and I'm getting distracted. To enable precise comparisons, we repolled each of the 37 items. So they're using the original numbers from the original polls as, like, time 1, and then they measured time 2 themselves. In all cases, T2 polls were conducted online using opt-in quota-based sampling procedure. So quota-based, to me, I'm guessing what they did, a mixture of random sampling and opt-in procedures fielded over oh my god, I do not envy that. I do not envy that. Ouch. We also note that some surveys in the past were restricted to registered voters. In those instances, we also restrict our analysis of follow-up surveys to registered voters. So they're making sure that the demographics of the samples are roughly the same for the initial polling and from what they did. In Table 3 observed little support for H1. Of the 37 theories, beliefs examined, only 6 show a significant increase over time. So some of them did indeed show an increase of time. Some did show an increase, but only 6 out of the 49 total that they looked at in study 1 increased. Ranging from 4 to 10 percentage points in magnitude. Of the remaining 31, 16 showed no change, and 15 show a statistically significant decrease, is what I'm going to guess they're going to say. So 6 increased, and then they said 6 increased between, like, the ones that we talked about earlier and now. No, wait. No, yes. 6 showed an increase overall. 16 showed no change. 16, no change. And 15 decreased. So that's a net decrease in conspiracy belief. The across the 46 theories they looked at, more decreased than increased. All right, so here's their theories, and here's the change over time. I'm sorry, this is going to be pretty small. The first one is humans have made contact with, they're hiding aliens from us. That's the first one. This one significantly increased over time, which I do think makes some sense based on some of the recent like document releases that I say recent, this has been like the past 5 years or something like that. Like there were some maybe more than 5 years, you know, all those document releases about Area 51 and like the admission that there are military documents showing unidentified flying objects, which again, unidentified flying objects are just objects in the air that can't be identified. They don't necessarily mean aliens or anything supernatural or extraterrestrial. They're just something in the air that couldn't be identified. But I imagine the release of those documents did contribute to this increase, maybe? Maybe? I could be wrong. I'd have to check the timeline on all that. US government was involved in assassinations. That did increase over that time period. George Soros belief increased. JFK increased. I choose to believe there are circular metallic disc-shaped birds. Yeah, why not? Pharmaceutical industries inventing new diseases increased. UFO means exactly what it says? I know, right? It's just like a conspiracy theory means exactly what it said. It's a theory about a conspiracy. Sometimes things are just what they say on the tin. It's Bird Brains. Hey, Aggie, how you doing? How you doing? Next is fake the moon landing. This did increase. Interesting. So that has actually increased between 95 and 21. Is the U.S. government being involved in assassinations in general? Do you think the U.S. government has engaged in the assassination of entertainers who have tried to spread a counterculture message they didn't like? If you want to read like the full text, you can go and check out the paper in the link. And then, so those are the 5 that did actually increase. These are the ones that increased. It's the aliens one, government assassinating entertainers, Soros, JFK assassination, pharmaceutical industries making diseases, and then fake the moon landings. Those are the 6 that increased over that time period. Mind control broadcast signals was not a significant increase. Government adds fluoride. Fluoride conspiracy theories was not a significant increase. Hiding UFOs, that's another one that didn't see a significant increase. Probably because they released those files, which is like, well, they're not hiding it because those files were released. Clinton, Russia was not a significant increase. Fluorescent light bulbs for like population control and complacency was not a significant increase. Cell phones causing cancer is not a significant increase. Certain U.S. government, so that was zero change whatsoever. It was exactly the same. Exactly the same. U.S. government officials plan, so September 11th did not change at all. The world government, secret world government, didn't change at all. Holocaust sort of like exaggeration / denial did not change at all. Climate change is a hoax did not change at all. The birther theory did not change significantly. HIV conspiracy theories didn't change significantly. Anti-vax conspiracy theories, shockingly, did not change significantly over that period of time. This is between 2020 and 2021. So that is a pretty short time period, but it didn't change. FDA is hiding the cure for cancer, did not change significantly. Only 1% of the richest people in the world control the government and the economy. So rich people control the world. That one did not change significantly, though this is a pretty close call to rejecting the null there. Rothschild's one, that one did decrease. That one decreased significantly over this period. 5G belief significantly decreased. Robert Kennedy assassination significantly decreased. GMO conspiracy theory significantly decreased. School false flag conspiracy theories for school shootings significantly decreased. Bin Laden faked death significantly decreased. Trump Russia significantly decreased. Sandy Hook significantly decreased. Knew about Pearl Harbor in advance significantly decreased. Republicans stole the election. That belief significantly decreased. Global warming is a hoax significantly decreased. O.J. Simpson was framed significantly decreased. Martin Luther King assassination significantly decreased. Conspiracy to get rid of the police significantly decreased. And Reagan Iranian hostage deal significantly decreased. So yeah, what was it? Most things didn't change. About as many things decreased as didn't change, and only 6 out of 49 actually increased. I'm surprised that Robert and John's assassination theories aren't in tandem. Maybe Robert's lower, but I feel like if you know about both and think JFK was a conspiracy theory, both would. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. You don't hear JFK is like the most popular conspiracy theory in the US that I am currently aware of. Like, where does it rank on here? Robert Kennedy, this is 48% of the population, or 48% of the sample to 43% of the sample. Where is JFK? Surely that, yeah. On JFK, President Kennedy. That was 50 and 56. So actually that's lower than its peak. Like I said, the Gallup poll found a peak at 81%. But yeah, there is a guy out there who thinks Robert was a conspiracy, but John isn't. Probably. There's a guy for just about everything. All right. Significant decreases range in magnitude from 3 to 31 points, which is that, like, the Reagan Iranian hostage deal. That was a huge decrease in belief from 91 to 21. To account for these findings, altogether, the number of conspiracy theories belief that increased 6 out of 37, and also 6 out of 46 if you count the ones from COVID and QAnon before, is outweighed by the 31 conspiracy theories showing either no change or significant decrease. So again, evidence that general belief in conspiracy theories has not increased, and in fact almost appears to be like, if it's just like the number, I don't know. Yeah, it's held stable, basically. And if anything, maybe you could even make an argument for it decreasing from this. To account for these findings, one might wonder whether the conspiracy theories that fail to show an increase or show a decrease are somehow systematically different from those that show an increase, which is fair. Maybe there's a difference between these theories one way or another. Examining the beliefs that increase in Table 3 reveals time spans, subject areas, based on levels of belief, and question wording types similar to those that decreased or remained. So they don't see any systematic differences between the ones that increased and the ones that decreased. It's possible, so they argue that the one that decreased the most, it might just be irrelevant and old, but then again, the JFK one is also pretty old, you know? Like, the salience of a conspiracy theory likely has something to do with its age or the age of the object it addresses. So salience, by the way, I don't know if I defined salience. This is a term we use a lot in psychology. Salience is how easily something comes to mind. How top of the head is it? Like, is it something that's like easy to pull to mind but hard? If it's easy to pull into your mind, it's salient. It's something that you are consciously aware of, or just like it's easily accessible. How much evidence do I have to refuse to listen to before believing people are more inclined to now to follow conspiracy theories becomes itself a conspiracy theory? I don't think that would be a conspiracy theory unless you added additional things to it. So I refuse. Me saying I don't believe the findings of this paper is not a conspiracy theory in of itself. However, if I said that the government paid the authors of this paper to write this paper and fabricate this data specifically to make it seem like conspiracy theories are unpopular to discourage people from questioning the government, then that would be a conspiracy theory. So simply denying evidence is not in and of itself a conspiracy theory. There's like additional stuff that needs to be in there to make it a conspiracy theory. Hi, the Playmaker. Did I say that before? Hi, welcome. How you doing? I hope you're doing well. But salience is also idiosyncratic and the product of numerous factors. The fluorescent light bulb conspiracy theory, which did not increase over time, might shed some light. Excuse me. Did you make a pun in my empirical research article? For shame. For shame. Why am I reading puns in my empirical research article? This is a very serious place. On the potential importance of salience. Because the theory was concocted by researchers, I remember this now. The fluorescent light bulb one was made up for the purposes of a study. They wanted to have what they call, I believe that was Oliver and Wood 2004. I think that's Oliver and Wood 2004. They had a list of 14 conspiracy theories. One of them was made up by the researchers to test, like, will people believe even theories that we just make up? Which they did. So I'm pretty sure that's the Oliver and Wood one that they made up. So this was not like a organic conspiracy theory. This was a conspiracy theory made up by researchers specifically for the purposes of having a conspiracy theory nobody had heard of before, as much as possible. Because this was concocted by researchers, it, to our knowledge, never spread among the public, and its salience was therefore held constant, which makes sense. So, like, it was equally accessible back then as it is now, because, like, the public was never talking about it. It was never salient, basically. It was never within the public consciousness, because it was an artificial theory that was just made up for the purpose of a study. Did people still say they believed it in the study? Yes. But, like, it didn't make it outside of the study, really. It never got its legs in the general populace. Grocery stores would not be allowed to put the word organic on a conspiracy theory, yes. Beliefs appear to remain stable over time as well. That said, we took additional steps to investigate whether there's a relationship between the age of a conspiracy theory and belief in it. So, like, is it just like older ones are believed less, newer ones are believed more? We computed a correlation between the difference in proportion of believers listed in Table 1 and the time in years. I'm going to try and make it back before the end. Good luck. Well, I don't know how far we have until study 2. Oh, we don't have too far till study 2. We'll probably be ending relatively soon, which is good because I'm so hungry. So hungry. My tummy's rumbly. So they did a correlation between the proportion change in belief and the time period. So, like, was there a relationship between how much the proportion of people who believed it changed and how long the time period it was for that change to happen over? The correlation is significant. It's a significant negative correlation. So the longer the time period they looked at, the less support it had. I'm also going to note that down because that is an interesting finding. The older a conspiracy theory was, the less support it had. And the correlation is negative 0.32. A correlation of 0.3 is between a small to moderate correlation. It's kind of like, this is on the stronger side of correlations in social psychology and social sciences, but it's still a pretty weak correlation. So it's not like age, how old a theory is the only thing that determines how many people believe it. There are other factors as well, which makes sense. They did kind of point that out. Do some personality traits make you more likely to believe these theories, which would account for apparent stability in the results? The data on that is mixed. The data on personality traits and belief in conspiracy theories is pretty mixed. Let me pull up my thing to check this. And because, like, a lot of there's not many personality traits where there's theoretical reasons to believe that they would be related to conspiracy theories. So, like, there's not a whole lot of work on it. There's a single study showing that people who are more optimistic, there's no relationship between optimism and conspiracy belief. Let's see, what else is there? Cognition, personality, okay. There's one study showing that more narcissism is associated with more belief in conspiracy theories. Zero relationship between extroversion and belief in conspiracy theories. There's no consistent relationship between self-esteem and belief in conspiracy theories. No consistent relationship between agreeableness and belief in conspiracy theories. No consistent relationship between conscientiousness or neuroticism and belief in conspiracy theories. The evidence is super mixed for openness and belief in conspiracy theories. It doesn't seem like I'm not really seeing any consistent relationships between personality and belief in conspiracy theories across a bunch of studies. Again, like the stuff that I'm looking at is based on the literature up through about halfway through 2019. So I don't know if there's new studies that show that, but based on my personal notes, I'm not seeing any particular personality traits that are consistently associated positively or negatively with conspiracy belief. And there's also some debates over how stable personality is as well. So, also, some of these are such long time periods that the people that they're polling, well, I think in almost all of these cases, the people that they poll at the start are not the same group of people that they poll at the second time. So, personality wouldn't necessarily... I don't know. So only narcissism has a relevant correlation in this study. That was from a separate study, and I think it was only one study that found the relationship between narcissism and conspiracy beliefs. So, like, even that isn't, like, yeah, only one study found a relationship between narcissism and conspiracy belief. Like, the other things, like the extroversion thing, that's based on 5 different papers, and that was mixed. The extroversion one is based on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different papers, and that one is also mixed. So only one paper showing a relationship between narcissism and conspiracy belief doesn't necessarily mean that that's like a be-all end-all relationship, because like I said, I have agreeableness is looked at, 7 studies look at agreeableness, and one of those studies found that more agreeableness was associated with more belief. Another study in that same paper found no relationship. 3 other papers found no relationship, and 3 papers found a negative association. So it's just, that's nuts because the mechanism makes so much sense. Yeah, it does make sense, but yeah, I can't find anything showing multiple studies showing a consistent, like multiple studies replicating the same results. Oh yeah, hey, bye. Finding like a consistent relationship between conspiracy belief and some personality trait. There doesn't seem to be any personality trait that is reliably, consistently associated with conspiracy belief in a certain direction. Yeah, it's not conclusive. It could be that there's just no relationship at all. It could just be like the relationship's inconsistent for whatever reason. Maybe there's contextual factors. It could just be a bunch of sampling error. We don't know, but we have no evidence. We do not currently, or at least based on the papers that I've read, we don't have evidence that standard, like, major personality traits are consistently related to conspiracy belief in any particular way. Hey, Millennium, how you doing? How you doing? Welcome to the stream. We're not going to be going for too much longer. I do need to eat dinner soon. Oh, yeah, I guess it's more konbanwa based on my time zone. I mean, because I'm getting ready for dinner. I'm getting ready for bangohan. Anyway, let's keep reading so I can eat soon. We're gonna get through study 1, and then we'll go eat. Dinner good, yes. I'm excited for dinner. It's probably more like breakfast time for you, Eggy, or maybe lunchtime. I don't know. We examined whether there's a relationship between the time a given conspiracy belief was first surveyed. So it's not exactly when the conspiracy theory first showed up, but, you know, it's kind of a proxy. In our data, in the proportion of individuals supporting it at that time, perhaps individual conspiracy theory beliefs are not increasing over time, but rather new conspiracy theories are garnering more support today than conspiracy theories did in the past. So the idea is, it's not that belief is increasing, it's that nowadays new conspiracy theories get more support. Back in the day, not as many people hopped onto conspiracy theories. So they're just looking at the very first measurement. In general, did older theories have more people buying in at time 1, or do newer theories have more people buying in at time 1? Whatever it is. We found no support for such a notion. Instead, there was a negative correlation between the data conspiracy theories first polled and level of support. Thus, it seems that conspiracy theories tend to lose rather than gain believers over time. And that newer conspiracy theories are not attracting more believers than conspiracy theories did in the past. So, seems like CTs lose believers over time on average, and it's in fact, back in the day, more people popped on new conspiracy theories than people do in the current day. That seems to be what we're finding, a correlation of negative 0.44. That's a moderately strong correlation. That is a pretty strong correlation for social sciences. So that would be pretty, that's like a pretty, this is not like something that you can just dismiss out of hand. This is probably pretty reliable. This is probably reliable. This probably means something. It's probably not like, we don't know for sure, of course, but it's probably not just a fluke, is what I'm saying. And it probably is a major, or maybe not a major factor, but it's probably a pretty important factor in like when the conspiracy theory is first measured, seems to be a pretty major predictor of how many people believed it at that time point. That said, we suspect individual conspiracy theories respond to different forces over time, attracting more and fewer adherents for idiosyncrasy. That makes sense. Like, these are all different conspiracy theories. They all have different things going on, like how popular the person was involved, how much of a legacy that person left behind, or how many people the event in question affected. These are all idiosyncratic conspiracy theories. They're not all the same. They're going to have different relationships or different, like, life courses than each other, just due to their nature of different things. We also consider the potential role of don't know and no opinion responses, especially as it pertained to observed changes in older conspiracy beliefs. This analysis, which presented in the appendix, did not reveal an effect on don't know responses. So people had the option to say, yes, I believe this, no, I don't believe this, or I don't know. And it seems like they did exclude people who said, I don't know, in this analysis, because they're only looking at the proportion who believed versus disbelieved. Or they're looking at the proportion that believed specifically. But if you factor in people who didn't say, I don't believe this, but just said, meh, that doesn't seem to change anything. One might additionally wonder if survey methodologies and modes, so like how they got this data, did they get it from calling people? Did they do it in an online survey? Did they go door to door, whatever? If that affected the results, which kind of makes sense. Like maybe people are less likely, conspiracy theories are stigmatized beliefs. We tend to view conspiracy theories negatively. And people who believe conspiracy theories negatively, we have these sort of negative impressions of them, as evidenced by that feeling thermometer for QAnon that they mentioned earlier in the paper that they looked at, where people were really disliking QAnon. They felt cold towards QAnon. And I've also gathered data that shows generally people do feel negatively towards people who believe conspiracy theories. So these are beliefs that can get you mocked. So I don't think it's completely out of the question that people would be more reluctant to report conspiracy belief over the phone, where they're talking to another person who has their phone number and can hear their real voice, as opposed to an anonymous computer, like an anonymous internet survey. So I could imagine that the way that they got this data might influence, like could potentially be related to how many people say they believe a thing. Our survey samples were constructed to be representative of the U.S. adult population, according to most census estimates. So these are representative samples, which is awesome. Representative samples when they control the sampling. This means that basically the demographics, the demographic proportions of the sample are fairly equivalent to the demographic proportions of the United States. That's what a representative sample is. They've made sure that the demographic breakdown of their sample proportionally reflects the demographic breakdown of the population the sample comes from, which is awesome. That's a very difficult and pain in the butt thing to do, but it's a very good thing to do if you want to make sure your findings are generalizable to the general population. It's a way to reduce bias in your sample, but it's difficult and expensive. So hats off to them for doing that. I wonder if conspiracy theorists rank lower on metrics of trust, which may affect their interfacing with authority. Yes. Yeah, including survey collectors. Yes. So let me... That one I can say yes. Where... So, oh wait. So, general trust. Where did it... There it is, trust. Oh, actually... Okay, so I have 2 papers. One paper showed people who believe... So this was looking at 10 specific conspiracy theories. For 7 out of 10 of those theories, the more you believe them, the less you felt general trust towards people. One that used a fake conspiracy theory, it found that the more you believed 13 existing conspiracy... Or the more you believed... existing conspiracy theories, the less trust you felt towards others. They also made up a conspiracy theory. For that conspiracy theory, they didn't find the relationship. I have 2 papers, one looking specifically at political trust, the other looking at just trust in general, that found no relationship between conspiracy belief and trust. I have one paper that showed the negative relationship with trust for 4 out of 6 theories that they studied. One, a positive relationship between conspiracy belief and trust. I believe that's the only positive relationship between conspiracy belief and trusting others that I have seen in all the literature that I've read. And then there's an additional 5 papers that consistently found negative relationships. The more you believe conspiracy theories, the less you trust other people. So this is a more consistent finding than the personality ones. It's still kind of mixed. We are still seeing like some no relationships. We have that one weird positive relationship, but most of them are, at least on average, finding that the less you trust other people, the more you believe conspiracy theories. So that is a fairly robust finding. Oh, and I have another version of trust in here as well. It is trust in the government. I only have one paper on that. Yeah. In my notes. Anyway. Sorry, that was a long-winded answer to say there does appear to be a fairly reliable effect that the less you trust other people, the more you believe conspiracy theories. Or maybe you can think of it the other way around. It's a correlation. So it could be that the more you believe conspiracy theories, the less you trust other people. But yeah, that's a fairly... It's not perfectly consistent. It doesn't always show up that way, but it's pretty consistent. We suspect that changes in polling methods would work in favor of the hypothesis. So yeah, because old polls, like back in the day, polls were more likely to be over phone, where social desirability would make people less likely to admit that they believe these things, whereas more recent polls are primarily conducted online that are more anonymous and you're not directly interacting with somebody, so the pressures of social desirability aren't as high, so you would be more willing to admit to belief in conspiracy theories. So if this is the case, this would just make it look like there is an increase, even if there isn't an increase. So like if this is a major methodological concern, it would make it look like there is an increase, even if there's not, if it is having a major effect on results. We observe no patterns suggesting our findings are systematically impacted by the polling method. So there's no evidence that whether we got these answers via phone or internet, that there was any difference in how you would report your belief in conspiracy theories. So yeah, it doesn't seem like how they were asking the question influenced the way that people were responding in any significant way that would have skewed their results. So that's nice. They have more details on this in the appendix, not just like phone versus online survey, but it looks like they do other stuff as well. 24 words per minute. That's not bad. I thought I was doing much worse than that, to be honest, Astral. I'll take it. That is way better than I thought I was doing. I thought I was doing like 12 words per minute at best. Given the frequency of claims about contemporary... I did as well. Yeah. We're doing better than we thought. Yay! Good job. I'm gonna give myself a pat on the back. There we go. All right. Given the frequency of claims about contemporary America entering a golden age of conspiracy theories, we expected to find near universal support for Hypothesis 1. A reminder, Hypothesis 1 was that belief in conspiracy theories has increased over time. But they didn't. Our analyses failed to produce consistent evidence of this. Out of the 46 theories and related misinformation, we only found 7 with significant increases, one of which wasn't a conspiracy theory, it was a piece of misinformation, but 22 with no significant change, and 17 with significant decreases. Move over the conspiracy theories that have recently attracted the most concern over their supposed growth. Again, this paper was published in 2022. The research was largely done in 2021. So giving that context for the time period. So those regarding COVID-19, QAnon, and vaccines did not appear to be growing in popularity. So this common belief that conspiracy theories are becoming more common and more popular is not borne out by the data. This is just replicating and extending the findings of that initial paper that Uscinski and Parent, and I think there was one other author as well that I forget, unfortunately, did in 2011 and then published in a book in 2014. So it's replicating their findings. It's saying we didn't find this then, and we're still not finding this now, even though there's been even more fuss about this increase than ever. All right, we made it through study 1. Let's pick up on study 2 next week. We'll pick up on study 2 next week. But this was a lot of fun. I really, really enjoyed this. I hope that you all are enjoying this paper as much as I am, because boy howdy. Did I really just say boy howdy? I'm judging myself a little bit. But that was really fun, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you all again next time so that we can pick up this paper and read some more. I mean, I think we've already learned, like, the take-home message is that they haven't increased, but I'm very excited to see the other studies. The next one is the one that looks at 6 different European countries. Spoilers, it's going to be Germany, Great Britain, Italy, Poland, Portugal, and Sweden. Nice. So not all of it is Western Europe. We also have Poland, which is more like Eastern Europe. So it's not entirely Western Europe, which is nice. It is still all Europe, though. Go eat now. I am going to go eat now. Thank you all so much. But yeah, thank you all for joining me. So what a weird bunch, probably based on where they had researchers. One of the authors on this paper is from England. The other ones were probably just a matter of accessibility. Oh, Portugal is also... Isn't Portugal on, like, the western, like, just west of Spain? Wait, am I having am I failing geography? Am I failing geography here? Am I? Portugal's on the Iberian Peninsula, right? Yeah, Portugal's as west as you. You're right. Astral, are you messing with me? Are you messing with me, Astral, when I am tired and hungry? Are you messing with me, Astral? When I am tired, when I am hungry? When I've just spent the past 3 hours reading a paper to you? Oh, I see what you mean. Okay. Like, it is Western Europe, but, like, culturally or in terms of, like, statistical things, they tend to look more like an Eastern European country than a Western Europe. I see. I understand. It's joke. I see. Okay. I'm sorry. I'll let you all in on a secret. I've never been to Europe. I've never been to Europe. I've been to London. I've been to England, but I'm not counting that as part of Europe because it's not on the continent. So I don't really know this stuff. I'm sorry. I'm too American to function. I'm not going to count London as Europe because when I say Europe, I mean the continent. Sorry. I guess, like, culturally I get it, but yeah. Come to Southeast Asia instead. I would love to. I'd love to go someday. I'd love to go to Europe. I'd love to go back to London. I'd love to go back to the British Isles broadly. I'd love to go to Southeast Asia. There's many places that I'd love to go. It's literally on the continental shelf. Fine. Okay, I've been to Europe. In that case, I've been to Europe. I've been to London, which is in Europe, I guess, or is on the continental shelf. Ignore that we call the mainland the continent. I was just thinking that, but I'm like, you know what? I'm just a filthy American. What do I know? The only part of me that's ever been to Europe is my genes. Big mood, CDM, same. Or well, I guess according to Astral, I have been to Europe, so I don't know anymore. I don't know anymore. I don't know. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So thank you all for joining me today. I am going to go get some dinner. Oh, all right. Have a lovely day or evening or whatever time it is for all of you. I will see you next week to read some more of this paper. Bye-bye.